Welcome to another episode of Pound for Pound Boxing Report. 2016 is here. 2016 is here, and the Pound for Pound Boxing Report is back. It's back, starting new. Uh, I want to thank my guests for joining me tonight. What you need, joining us live from Trinidad. Jacob joining us from the West Coast. Gail Falkenthal, Communities Digital News, joining us live from San Diego. Daniel Carpio joining us live from NY. I'm your host, Michael. For those who are new to the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, Pound for Pound Boxing Report is a live YouTube show / podcast / blog that discusses all things boxing. The motto is, when boxing is good, we will talk about it. When boxing is bad, we will talk about it. Bottom line is, if it concerns boxing, we will talk about it. If you want to find information about the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, one main place you want to go to, that's the blog page, e4pboxingreport.wordpress.com. It's the link. If you want to check the right of the blog page, you will find links to find us all over the internet, all over the interwebs. Facebook, Tumblr, G+, Twitter, YouTube. We got a Pinterest board, RSS feed. We're on Stitcher Radio. We're on Flipboard Magazine. We're on SoundCloud. We're finally on iTunes. And for those who want to check the previous episodes, we're still on Podomatic, so you can find old episodes on the Podomatic link as well. Let's go back and do a recap. Start the show by really doing a recap on a couple of boxing events that took place towards the end of 2015 while we were on break. On December 29th, in a card in Tokyo, I believe it was. Yes, it was. Naoya Inoue made his long-awaited return to the ring after basically taking a year off due to a hand injury, fighting his mandatory Walito Perenas. Inoue, the WBO super flyweight champion, had easy work, easy time of it, stopping Perenas in round 2. Just the power and the class was the real difference here. I'll go to you, Gail, since ladies first. Your thoughts of Inoue. How did you think he looked in his comeback after such a long layoff?
Impressive. Just really impressive. He was aggressive, which I really like to see in a fighter that's had a long layoff, and he performed absolutely as expected. Nothing but enthusiasm for what I saw, and left me wanting to see more. It's always a really good sign in a fighter.
I'll just pass the mic around and everybody else can join in. Just follow up on what Gail was thinking here. Thoughts here. Daniel, Jacob, what you need. Your assessment of Inoue and how he looked.
For somebody that was out for a year, it didn't look like it.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it, but it shows the discipline. Luckily, that Inoue has, and it makes you salivate more. I know we're going to talk about this later on, but it does make you salivate more. Just watching how easily he took care of business. It makes you salivate more that day when the guy on the other side of that corner is actually Chocolatito.
It was the appetizer. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And we want the meal. Bring on the chocolate.
Chime in, Jacob, and what you need as well. Open up your mic, please, fellas, and talk about, especially from you, what you need, since you like looking at the technical side of the sport. What impresses you about Naoya Inoue?
Just his sharpness for now. I mean, he basically walked the guy down, so it wasn't a whole lot. I mean, he did move on the back foot a little bit too. There wasn't a whole lot I could really say because the fight wasn't that long, but he's sharp. I like how he's sharp. He came back in sharp, looked sharp.
Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much more to say. I mean, he wasn't fighting what I would consider, the highest of competition. But I mean, I think when you're gone for that long, you kind of want to ease into it. And so he looked good for. I think, like Daniel was saying, he didn't look like he'd been gone as long as some fighters that have been gone a long time. So I think everybody's hoping that we'll see him fight Chocolatito. So I mean. It gets me excited for the opportunities that it can bring by him winning.
Yeah, we'll talk about that prospect in a little bit, but let's give a little teaser and talk about it a little bit right now. I'll go to you, Gail, since you're really on the media side. there's been open discussions, open rumors, if you will, about bringing Inoue over to the United States to fight uh, during the first half of this year, in hopes of landing a big fight potentially with um, Roman Gonzalez. Um, Presumably, this bout would be on HBO. Um, should that happen, what possible opponents would you like to see Inoue in there with as a showcase bout? Would you like to see it maybe on an After Dark special as a co-feature with Roman Gonzalez, or on an undercard with another bout featuring a significant fighter within the smaller weights? What do you see about Inoue and possible fighting here in the United States?
Well, HBO gave us a big fat clue during the Bryant Jennings Luis Ortiz bout on the 18th. I don't recall in recent memory hearing the HBO announcers speaking knowledgeably about Japanese fighters, Japanese smaller weight division champions, and they were during their commentary. I think all of us were listening and talking amongst ourselves on Twitter, and our heads snapped around. What? They're mentioning all these names, actually pronouncing them right. I mean,
oh my gosh! They mentioned Imura, they've mentioned Uchiyama, they've mentioned Inoue in basically a 60-second span. I was shocked.
Yeah, Michael, you jumped all over it. Daniel, I think you did. I did. I mean, I said, what? Huh? What? Come again? What'd you say? So that's a big tell that that's exactly what they're planning. And I think it is in large part because of the success and the embrace by the American public and the HBO fans of Roman Gonzalez. It's been a huge success. What's also been a great success was yoking him to their other marquee name, Gennady Golovkin. And of all things, we had a writer after the first fight refer after Golovkin, who is called Big Drama Show lately, called Roman Little Drama Show, and suddenly they had a marketing program handed to them. So we're going to probably see Golovkin and Roman as the co-mains on a card in March in Los Angeles. And it would be a very smart thing to make the third fight on the telecast, or a walk-off fight perhaps if they had to, be Inoue. He needs to be introduced in the same way that Roman's been introduced, on undercards with another draw, to eventually build him his own fan base here. And it would be very smart to do it on the West Coast, where you have a large Asian audience, in large part the same audience that follows and supports many of the Filipino fighters in California. Would be a brilliant thing to do. And the bottom line is, especially in Southern California, a good action fighter, like most of the Japanese fighters are, will be warmly embraced by this audience. The same Mexican fans and Mexican-American fans that love Triple G, they love Chocolatito. They're going to love guys like Inoue. They don't care what weight division they're in. They just want to see them bring the action. The other thing, you could put him on an undercard of a Mura Vargas rematch, which
Nice.
is likely in the works, and I think that would be a brilliant thing to do, to start bringing in complete lineups of Japanese champions and challengers and hook them all together. There's a million great ways to go, and I think we're going to see him here sooner than later.
I have an idea, Gail. I have an idea for this one now. What about Inoue being featured on an undercard, with the Mura Vargas 2 being the main event, and the co-main event being the fight that's been talked about? Jesus Soto Kara's versus Yoshihiro Kamagai.
Ooh.
Great lineup. Great lineup. You don't have a super marquee main event name. I'm not 100% sure Mura Vargas is a main event draw without something else on that card, but hey, do it at StubHub. You can fill that place easy with that lineup. Easy.
I like that.
I'd be there in the front row. Stay me a seat.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's move on and talk about a fight that took place 2 days later. The Inoue fight took place on the 29th of December. The fight I'm talking about now took place on the 31st, also in Tokyo, as Takashi Uchiyama, WBA junior lightweight champion, one of the longest reigning champions in the sport. Right now, he won the belt. It'll be 6 years. No, it'll be 6 years. He's been a champion at the end of this month. He fought an easy defense against Oliver Flores. I'll go to you on this one, what you need. EJ Boxing Live and I did some commentary on this, English version of commentary on this fight over the holiday break. I think you saw that what you need. Unmute your mic, please, bro. Don't just talk about the fight itself, but talk about your assessment of Takashi Uchiyama, the fighter. What impresses you about him? What do you think? What improvements do you need to see from him? Your overall thoughts on him.
Takashi Uchiyama, he has I think the thing with him is his jab and his basic fundamentals that are good, and I guess that's what he relied on. I noticed that a lot of the Japanese fighters have good fundamentals, basically. So that's basically it, because he's not really quick. He's not really fast. His foot movement is very. He has a nice foot movement, you know, but he has good power. Not particularly the sharpest guy in the world either, in terms of how you snap punches and so on. He kind of has more of a follow through on his punches. So, you know, by and large, I think all around he's a good boxer, and I think his commitment to the sport of boxing, and I think his ability to fight at a particular rhythm, a particular pace, is what really distinguishes him. He's very consistent, so that I think is what has allowed him to stay a champion for so long. He's very consistent in what he does, and I believe that's what's carried him. You know, very good behind the jab, very good behind that jab. That jab does a lot for him. So I think that's what, to me, that's what impresses me about him.
Follow up. During our rebroadcast, EJ and myself, EJ said that his assessment of Uchiyama is like he's a smaller version of Vladimir Klitschko in terms of his style, in terms of the pace that he fights. I will also add into that he's like a Vladimir Klitschko who goes to the body. Right. Did you see that when you look at Uchiyama?
Right,
style?
Exactly. I like how he also sets up those body shots off the jab, so he jabs to the body as well, so he can go. He creates options. You don't always know if he's going to go to the top or he's going to go to the bottom. So that's the extra dimension about him, and I think that's what sort of offsets his opponents, because he uses the jab to break up their rhythm. So he breaks up your rhythm, so you can't really mount a really serious onslaught at him, and then he's fundamentally sound enough that you can't hit him flush when you're really trying to get your jab to find where he is, and you follow it up with other punches. So yeah, he's kind of very sound in terms of building everything off the jab, and he's very good at his jab is the key to why he wins so many fights, I think, and dominates so much in his division. And he's very consistent. Like, he doesn't tire, you know, because he paces himself very well.
Right.
Even if there's an onslaught in a fight, you know, he paces himself very, very well. So while you're starting to break down, you're starting to wear down, he's now warming up, sort of like on you.
He reminds me of Barrera, the second half of Barrera, who changed tactics in the way that he stays cool and composed,
right,
even through the storm.
Exactly. That's his strong point. He's strong as well, mentally and physically, but I think it's the way how he's able to stay relaxed, stay composed. He's kind of smart in there, in the sense that if he needs to take a couple breaths, he knows to use the jab to buy that time as he's turning you, because he's turning you, right? So all the things that you need, the ingredients to sort of pace yourself, by time, he has those ingredients in there, and I think that's what has allowed him to stay. Because there are other guys I could think of who, you know, they have a lot more going for them, but they may not be as um, as composed, as pacing themselves, and also just kind of smart in how they set up things. You know,
You know,
he sets up certain punches to take out your steam and to break you down. You know,
in other words, there are more talented fighters out there, but the difference between them and Uchiyama,
even,
one, he thinks, and he thinks in the fight, and he uses his experience throughout the fight.
yeah, I don't know if they're more talented. They may be even more skilled than him. They may be able to do more things than him. And they may have more, like some of them may be sharper than him and all of that, but his ring IQ, and he's also smart. So how he goes about doing things is such that if he needs timeout, he knows what to do. If he wants you to be sort of gassed and he realizes you're going too fast, he knows what to do. You know, so he's that good. He knows what to do with what he has to win a fight.
I'm gonna open it up here for everybody else. I'm gonna start with you, Jacob, first. What you need? We just had a discussion about Uchiyama, the fighter. Let's talk about the future of Takashi Uchiyama. We basically know what it is at this point. During Nicholas Walters' last bout, that bogus draw. They just had an open discussion during the broadcast on HBO of a potential fight with Uchiyama, and negotiations, from what I understand, are happening at this present moment for a Uchiyama Nicholas Walters bout here in the United States in 2016. I'll go to you, Jacob, first, and then everybody else can chime in. Thoughts on the fact that Uchiyama, at this stage of his career, let's keep in mind he's 35, 36 years old, is deciding to fight, to get in the ring with the fighter, the caliber of Walters. I'm impressed by that. I like that. Your thoughts on that? And I'll start with you. Jacob, and then just go around the table here.
Yeah, I mean, it's hopefully the fight does happen, and it sounds like it's leaning that way. But you know, I think, you know, getting him some exposure in the States will help. Gail touched on something earlier where we were talking about, you know, the popularity of some of these lower weight classes, in the sense that, you know, as boxing fans, or most boxing fans, they just want to see good fights. It doesn't really matter what weights they're in. If they're, you know, when that whole Vargas Mura fight happened, I mean, it was the only fight that everybody was really talking about, and it was because it was entertaining. So you put someone like Uchiyama in there with someone like Walters, who's a big guy, who's, you know, explosive. I mean, you know, they're going to have a good fight. So it's exciting. I mean, we're already talking about this. It's early in 2016, so I have nothing but high hopes. And if they have it in the States on the West Coast, even better, because then I want to go.
Gail, Daniel?
Exactly right. You know, I am impressed when you've got fighters who say, I want to beat the best to be the best. I want to fight the best. They want to prove it. And these guys, these young, aggressive guys in these smaller weight classes, they want to prove themselves. They not only have to prove themselves within the division, but they're fighting this whole issue of acceptance by the general audience. And I'm sure they're seeing what's happening. Chocolatito really has been the ambassador in large part for the lower weight divisions, but his lieutenants right by his side are guys like Nicholas Walters. So it's incredibly smart, and it takes a little bit of, you know, boldness for these guys to say, yeah, I'm going to hop right in the ring with them. I'm going to get in there. Good for them. That says a lot to me as a fan. That encourages me to go, and it encourages me to tell others, hey, you know, these guys are willing to get in there, you know, really test themselves, get it on, you know, risk a loss, see what they're made of. Why wouldn't you want to go see a fight like that? It doesn't matter to me as a fan, you know, if one of these guys has the O erased from his record, if I see a good fight. Just because Takashi Mura lost to Francisco Vargas does not dampen my enthusiasm for wanting to see him again. You know, those two guys can get in front of me with fights like that as long as they want. It has been a long, long time since the boxing writing community had a consensus fight of the year. and it wasn't even close. Yura Vargas was it. You know, a lot of us had a very similar short list. There were a lot of good fights. You know, in any other year, I think Glovaki Huck would have been up there. That was my second fight of the year. You know, a lot of people enjoy a fight like Matisse Provodnikov. There were others to choose from, but hands down, it was the two guys that, you know, went after it, went for it, no holds barred, you know, to test themselves. That's the kind of fight we want to see. So good for him, and you know, he's got to be thinking after watching Walters and Sosa, you know, maybe Walters isn't as fearsome as he thought.
Daniel?
Oh man, I love this. Like I said, Gail was right. Like me, her, and you on Twitter, we pretty much like did the Birdman hand rub when Uchiyama's name was mentioned in that broadcast. But it not only it speaks to, luckily HBO finally paid attention to the lower weight classes and it's been a while, but it also shows the maturation of the Japanese fans as an audience, because a lot of people, their first impression, at least in this generation, was the Tyson Douglas, where for the most part they didn't really look like what they were going to do. They just knew it was a big event because it had a lot of money. But now, with all of their fighters coming in, you know, they have that value instilled in them of Bushido, a warrior code that doesn't let them surrender, pretty much. And like I said, and they had other guys coming in too. Like, let's not forget, I mentioned Kamagai, Nobuhito Arakawa. He had a really good fight, remember, in 2013 against Omar Figueroa.
Kamita.
Yeah.
Kamita. Mm-hmm.
Yep, Kamita, him.
Kamita and Kono. Kamita, Kono, and Kamita McDonald.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Like I said,
Konki and Tomoki, you mean? Yeah, the brothers.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. So it's fertile ground for them to come in. And also, like I said, Chocolatito is the ambassador here because he's promoted by pretty much like the biggest Japanese promoter out there in Taiken Promotions. So bringing him that audience, bringing that network into it, helps facilitate bringing a lot more Japanese fighters into the audience. And God knows they like to entertain. There hasn't been, at least in this generation, not many Japanese boxers that do not entertain.
Here's the thing. There's been, I think, a rise in Japanese boxing in terms of style and also in terms of social media. When I was a kid in the early 90s, I mean, we talk about Inoue, and he's only had, 9 fights? When I was a kid, going into stores and reading and getting Ring magazines and KO magazines and whatever, I used to read about Joshiro Tatsuyoshi, who won a bantamweight title in his 8th fight. The difference is that Tatsuyoshi, he was a good fighter, but he didn't have this kind of talent that we see from Inoue. Japanese fighters 15, 20, 30 years ago, they were around, but you didn't really see them that much. Why? Because you didn't have a YouTube. You didn't have a Daily Motion. You didn't have a Twitter, a Facebook, a G+. You didn't have the social media platforms to talk, so you could talk about these fighters, so you could put a certain fighter on YouTube. And so what's happening now is everybody is beginning to see him. See, if Inoue was, there was an outstanding junior bantamweight in the 80s by the name of Jiro Watanabe. Everybody considers Calcite Galaxy, and deservedly so, the greatest junior bantamweight in the world. Hall of Famer, we all know that. But there are a lot of really old school hardheads believe that Watanabe, if he ever would have fought the Calcite Galaxy, he would have beat him. See, if Inoue was around in the 80s, he would have been a Watanabe, an outstanding fighter that nobody would have known except in Japan. And you have to think social media for that. And you also have to, I think, the development of the Japanese fighters, and so that's why you're seeing Amira Gonzalez too. That's why you're seeing the Kameda brothers. That's why you're seeing Inoue. That's why you're seeing Kazuta Ioka, who also fought over the holidays and scored a stoppage in his rematch with Revco. So it's just really a combination of all things that you see in this uprise of the Japanese fighter and Asian fighters in large.
YouTube has been a savior for them. You know, we were able to see all the fights. They're up, you know, I mean, by the time these guys get their bouts done, it's overnight for a lot of us in the United States. Wake up, boom, there's a fight for you to be able to see you guys' whole career. I saw all these fights. I didn't watch any of them live. I didn't have any streams for any of them. There's all those wonderful people on YouTube that pop it right up there. And, you know, the real fight fan is finding all this material. They share it. They talk about it. It's been an outstanding thing for the lower weight classes in this sport. And for fighters around the world in all weight classes, because we can see them all. I have so much more exposure just to the British boxing scene, way beyond what we used to have,
And
because all that stuff's available. It's fantastic.
And the Russian fighters, Eastern European fighters, man, we get to see some really good ones now.
Yep.
Well, and fighters that are in South America, that are in Argentina.
Panamanian fighters are really dope, man. I've been watching them. Those boys are bad.
There's great boxing all over the world. And you know, the only time we ever used to see these guys was the Olympics. That was it.
Right.
You know, we don't need to wait every 4 years, and not every great, you know, fighter from a small country can afford to stay an amateur. A lot of those guys have to start making money. So we weren't able to see them until they got so big that they outgrew the borders of their country. But, you know, you don't have a lot of those guys. You know, it's a Roberto Duran. It's a, you know, once in a generation kind of guy coming out of some of those.
They got a lot of them in Panama, man. They got a lot of them. I've been starting to watch, and the only thing is I just want to see more women's boxing. I can't find that stuff. It's hard to find.
Well, the good news is, if you heard there was a recent interview with Lou DiBella, and Lou seems very committed to putting women professionals on all his cards and trying at least to make them a swing match if he can. And that would be a great thing to see in 2016, and we need to support that as part of the boxing commentary and journalism community.
The thing I will make a distinction here on what you need from like between the fighters from Central and South America, like Panama, what you mentioned.
Colombians, right. Venezuelans, right. Panamanians, they're bad, man.
The only distinction I will make is that, yes, those fighters from Central America, from South America, even the Caribbean, they have to move for the money. An Inoue, he doesn't need to fight outside Japan. He could stay in Japan. Ioka could stay in Japan and can make plenty of money. What I give them credit for is that Inoue, Uchiyama, they're coming over here for the exposure and to test themselves, where they don't have to do that. They can fight where they are and just be a star and bring an occasional name over there, like what Yamanaka did with Moreno. But the fact that they're deciding to come over here now, that gives them even more respect for me.
Of course. Especially if the opportunity presents itself.
Right. Like what the guy who fought Donaire. Help me out, Gail, at junior featherweight. The Japanese fighter who fought Donaire and lost.
The recent fight?
This was like 2012.
No, that's a while back.
Oh, gosh, let me think about that for a minute.
He had the belts 122 at WBC. He fought Saha Prime like 3-4 times at 118 before he moved up and won a title at 120. Nishioka, that's his name.
Nishioka. That sound right? You know, I'm going to check that, but I think that's
so that was the fight that was on the Rios Alvarado, right?
Yep.
Undercard?
The first one, yeah.
Nishioka.
I thought that was a main eventer.
It was the main event.
Okay, yeah, main eventer, yeah.
Well, I mean, well, it was the main event, but the Rios auto fight like kind of overtook it.
Yeah, it stole the show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
that Inoue especially, they talk about him doing it now, and he's only what 23 years old. Come on,
22, I think.
22.
Yeah.
Well, he'll be
Crazy.
23 this year, but come on,
Yeah.
come on. So absolutely. Let's move on and talk about some current events that's happened really since the start of the new year. Basically announced today that Terrence Crawford, who has a belt at 140, is going to fight Hank Lundy on the 27th of February at MSG. And also, I wrote a news regarding Ramon Gonzalez, which I wrote a blog about. Let's start with Crawford first. I'll just open up for everybody here. Your thoughts on the fight with Lundy on the 27th? I believe at the Little Garden.
Yeah,
in
they're going to
NYC.
do it. They're going to do it at the theater, which seats, 2,000.
And I'll just
500.
open it up for everybody here. Your thoughts on that? Do you like the fight? If the end game is to fight someone bigger down the line, okay, cool. But if this is just Ape out, just to have Ape out, I would have liked to have seen a bit of a higher caliber opponent. But again, I'll just open up for everybody here. Your thoughts on Crawford fighting Lundy?
Crawford is in the main draw here, unfortunately. It's Verdejo because
Yeah.
this
Right.
is a showcase to put Verdejo in. And for Crawford, it's a little bit of a test. Like I said, he sold out arenas, but he sold out arenas in Omaha. You can't have what I call the Quebec syndrome happening, where you just stay home, you sell out at home, and then you don't get out of your borders, and then you find out you're not as big of a draw as you thought you would be. So MSG is a pretty good area, but it's really mainly a showcase for Verdejo because it's New York. There's a lot of Puerto Ricans out here, so it's gonna be.
See, that's why I would say that's why I would like Crawford to fight a bit of a higher caliber opponent to entice the boxing in the crowd there.
Well, to be fair,
Because not all Verdejo, I mean, they're Verdejo fans, but really, how many are going to see Crawford, or are they just going to show up during Crawford's fight just to see Verdejo?
they'll show up during Crawford's fights just to see Verdejo.
See,
Baricuas will do that. Now,
see,
the thing about it is, though,
really?
yeah, Baricuas will do that. I'll say it. I'll say it.
Well, okay, all you Puerto Ricans out there, he said it.
Don't get mad at me, Rachel, babe.
Right.
No, but a lot of them,
no,
but a lot of them will be happy too because this is he is in a lot of their eyes Tito's heir. Not a lot of them took Dakota, so he is in their eyes Tito's heir. So it's good for them to come in, but I can't blame Crawford for this fight. I really can't. Okay, let's see who turned it down. Posto turned it down, even though he's trying to walk back on that. Mauricio Herrera and Ruslan Provodnikov turned it down. Now, granted, they're turning it down just because they're facing each other, but can you blame them? Like I said, Lundy was probably the next best guy available, and Lundy is not exactly, like I said, he's not exactly an easy fight. He's going to give you a fight. It's just not as big of a name as you think when a lot of people still have in their eyes with Crawford being, if it's not this fight, maybe later on this year he'll get the Pacquiao fight.
Well, assuming Manny doesn't retire and wins, and he has left the door open, so this would be interesting to see what happens there. I'm not thrilled with the bout. It's not a horrible fight. I don't know if Lundy's in the. I'm not sure if he's in the top 10. Is he in the top 20? Maybe. I mean, it could. You know what? This is damning the fight with faint praise, but it could be worse. That's about all I could think of when I saw it as well. It could be worse.
Yeah, my problem with this fight, I mean, again, I think Daniel said it best. I mean, that so many people didn't take the fight, so you can't really blame Crawford. He wants to stay active. He's talked about that many times. But the fact that Lundy is lost to, I think, Crawford's last three opponents, right? Like Delorme, who else did he lose to? Beltran, and then Oh, he didn't lose to Postal, but Postal is another guy he lost to. So Hank Lundy's a tough guy. I think he got the raw deal when he fought Herrera. That fight, I was at that fight, and it ended real early because of a headbutt or cut or whatever. But then I actually thought he was getting the better of that fight. But it is what it is. If anything, hopefully it gives Crawford more exposure in the sense that if he has a really spectacular performance, we'll go back to what we alluded to earlier, is that people want to see good fights. And if you can steal the show, you can gain fans for people that normally don't know who you are, the people that kind of just come and go, by being a co-main event. Because, I mean, most fights, when you show up, I always try to get there early to see all the fights, but most people that are there, they'll show up for like the co-main event and the main event, and that's it, and then they're out. So, I mean, he'll at least get that exposure. He'll get the TV exposure. And, all he can do is keep on fighting, keep active, and if he puts the guy away spectacularly, then, he becomes a clip on SportsCenter, and, maybe he gets a little bit more eyes.
What's your thinking about this fight? What you need? Oh, he's not there. EJ, I see what you need is left. I see. Join us live right now. EJ Boxing Live. Unmute your mic, brother. If you're there, EJ, unmute your mic. Okay, you there? Okay, you're back. What you need? Your thoughts on this bout? We're talking Terrence Crawford, Hank Lundy bout was just announced in that February. Your thoughts on it? Do you like it? Not like it? What's the word?
For me, it's like, it's a fight, but see if the question really is, can Crawford knock out Lundy? So that's the question for me.
Do you think he can?
Probably. I guess that'll put a nice wow factor in my mind, because I didn't think he could knock out Darijan. He did, so maybe he can knock out Lundy. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Well, and maybe that's the reason for the test, is to see, was that a fluke, or is he developing that kind of power? That might be the reason we're seeing a matchup of that type as a default, given that some of the more preferred opponents aren't available. It would have been interesting to see him in with somebody like a Mickey Bay. But, hey, it's water in the bridge. It's a fight. He's back in the ring. And he was very inactive last year. So the one big plus, I will give it to him, is he is getting right back in. And that is good. That is a big plus.
Let's move on.
A nice challenge for him would have been a fighter like Benavidez. But Benavidez is not a world champion too, so he's an interim champion. So maybe that might be too quick for him.
Look, he's living off the fact that he's a champion. He's living off the fact that he's a champion. He's living off the fact that in his mind he almost knocked out Tim Bradley. He's gonna ride that to the bank.
That's Vargas, not Benavidez.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're right. I got the two confused.
Benavidez is another fighter. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're right. I'm confusing with Jesse Vargas. I apologize for that.
You're not wrong on Vargas though.
Well, Vargas has been trolling everybody. Vargas was at Cotto Canelo talking to everybody he could grab, showing up everywhere, getting his name out there, getting in everyone's face. He's getting to the point he's like Shannon Briggs almost. I mean, he's crazy. Yeah. He wants it. He wants a rematch. He wants this fight. He wants that fight.
He should have fought harder in the beginning of the fight. Then you wouldn't have.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely right. And he got lucky to get that shot in. He would never have lost. He wouldn't have won the fight no matter what. But he in his mind is thinking, I got robbed, and he wants that rematch. He's not going to get it. He's mad, and he wants to get back on the stage. So.
I'll tell you a couple of guys I think would have been interesting for Terrence Crawford. This little kid, Adrian Granados, who fought.
Who defeated Amir Imam.
Yeah,
That's right. You know, that's so funny. That came across my mind. Good for you for calling that one. That would be a good one.
And then if he wanted to unify with Tryanovsky, I think Tryanovsky's no joke either. That's the guy that beat Cuenca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the
But you
question
know how little I
about
feel with Cuenca,
Granados,
so I
though, is
have to see
Granados a
more.
Heyman kid?
I don't think
Granados
I don't think Granados is a Heyman kid. I hope not.
Nope.
Yeah, not.
He's not.
Because he fought Imam, who's he's with
Don King.
Don King, yeah.
Yeah, Imam is the only fighter Don King has left. That's it.
He has Severn. He has Berman.
Yeah, I have to see more Tchaikovsky because you know how much I didn't think of Cuenca.
Well,
I have to see
But
more
I'm just
of him
saying, it's a
because,
boxer. It's a boxer, and Tryanovsky got power too. He got some good power.
Cuenca, you know, he didn't move me one bit. I told you he was going to lose. So,
oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
I actually like Cuenca though. I think he boxes pretty well for a southpaw.
no
Well, I'm
comment.
just saying. I'm just
No comment.
okay.
Let's
Hey,
move.
got the O behind his name though.
Yeah.
Well, he had the O behind his name.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's move
right.
on.
Before you move on, Mike.
Matisse was a good one too.
I know, Mike. You not mentioned Benavidez.
I
would
did.
probably wait on him until he actually starts making weight again. Because remember, he missed 4 pounds of the fight where he was supposed to fight as a welterweight.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
That's a good call. Yeah.
You know, I would have loved to see Crawford fight Omar Figueroa, but I know that's not possible. Just to see Omar Figueroa again, you know.
No, let's do it just because I want Omar Figueroa out the game. He's overrated. Way overrated.
Oh.
I agree, he's overrated.
I'm being mean now.
Yeah, you trolling there. I saw
Figueroa's
that.
my boy, though.
I saw that. I see that. What you mean? You trolling there?
I have a soft spot for Omar. I can't help
I
it.
like him too. I like him. I shouldn't have done him.
Yeah.
Nice kid, but he just doesn't. He has to learn some type of defense.
Yeah, the
Some
defense.
type of defense.
I know. Yeah, he's one of those guys who's going to eventually get cut up so much he just can't do it anymore.
That's the sad part. Because he's exciting. Because one thing, he gives you exciting fights.
Absolutely right. Yeah. He's very fan friendly, and you know when he's in a small venue, you know his last fight at StubHub, you know he just he looked horrible. He was it was like the Mura Vargas fight. He was worried it was going to get stopped on cuts, and he stepped on the gas and won. And he's all patched up and all this stuff, and he walked right back out and took pictures with the fans and didn't care what he looked like, and he eventually sat with a bunch of guys, and I assumed he knew them all. No, they're just a bunch of fans, and they told him to sit with them, and he did.
Nah.
Love
Nice.
that.
I'll give him, that's good for him. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy, man.
Yeah, let's move on. I mentioned Roman Gonzalez. We mentioned Roman Gonzalez and talk about Inoue. News broke a couple days ago that Gonzalez is going to return to the ring. The early rumored date is March the 5th in LA as a co-feature on a card headlined by Triple G. Presumably, I think he may fight Torreano Johnson. That's the early word I'm hearing on Triple G's next opponent. And I wrote a blog post about this. I'll go to you on this one, Daniel. When I first heard about it, I was like, yeah, showcase bout. Why do I want to see it? Because Giovanni Segura is a step back, in my opinion, from his Gonzalez's last bout, last fight, Brian Valoria. But then the more I read, I saw that there's a plan here with Chocolatito. If successful against Segura, which he should knock him out. He's a heavy favorite. It looks like Gonzalez is going up to 115 to fight Quadras, the WBC champ, undefeated. If you haven't seen him, you can check him out on YouTube. He's a very good fighter. Look like the plan is for that bout to happen this summer. And as I wrote on the blog, if he defeats Segura and Quadras and possibly fights Inoue at the end of this year or early next year, I'm not mad at that at all.
No.
No.
Oh man, I don't blame you for that, Mike. I don't blame you for that at all, because it's true. When you first heard about it from Chocolatito's mouth, you kind of let down a little bit. But then when I heard of the venue, I understood. I understood why, even if he's a headliner, because there's, like I said, in LA there's a lot of Central Americans, a lot of Hondurans, Salvadorans, and those communities along with Nicaraguans, they're a very tight-knit group. So you saw them on MSG. They were out in force to root for Chocolatito. So this is a good test to see if he moves the meter on the West Coast by himself against an opponent. Now, if he moves up and he does that, faces Quadras and then faces Inoue, then nobody's not going to be displeased about that. But in all reality, like I said, you're going to have one of these fights when you're a champion. You're going to have one of these fights that it's going to be looked at as a gimme. Fans may not like it. But if you have a bigger plan down the window like the one you just outlined, then it's a pill the fans can swallow if it means bigger things ahead.
And it's in the Segura bout. It's a bit of a comparison test because Segura, his last time out, fought Gallo Estrada, I believe, knocked down 7 times before the fight was finally stopped. I want to say in round 10. Correct me if I'm wrong on the exact round.
11.
11. I'm sorry. Thanks for correcting me. I'll go to you on this one. I'll go to you, Jacob. Your thoughts on this plan if this comes to fruition for Chocolatito Gonzalez?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I was at the forum when he fought that fight, and he had a ton of fans there. I was actually really surprised. So he has a presence on the West Coast. Now, if this is part of the Triple G fight, I heard that, I don't know, he has multiple dates, or they're fighting with the UFC on getting a date at the Madison Square Garden. So, I mean, it would be dumb of them to split up the 2 pairings of Triple G and Chocolatito. But, I mean, like I say with most things, is that I like fighters to stay active. Daniel hit on a point. You're not going to get a home run, opponent every single time. It's just not going to happen with all the talent out there, and they're with different promotions, or this one fought this time and can't be ready at this time. So I mean, if it leads to these other fights that we want to see, then great, that's fine. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is it'll give us a barometer of how he's doing, or since his last fight. If he looks not that great, then there will be some questions that'll come up. But if he looks great and he dispatches his guy real easy and moves on to the next big fight, then that's great.
I'll go to you what you need. I mentioned if successful against Segura, he's going to fight Carlos Quadras. I believe you've seen Quadras on video on YouTube, fights of his on YouTube. I just said that Quadras is a very good fighter, and I think he can give Roman Gonzalez a really good fight. For those who have not seen Quadras fight, give a brief description of him as a fighter.
Before going to Quadras, I just wanted to say that I just realized he's actually defending his flyweight title against Segura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, seeing that Segura shares the opponent Juan Francisco Estrada, how are we sure that he may not face Estrada next after Segura?
Because there are various reports out there now that said that, one, Gonzalez, he wants to move up and win a 4th belt, and all same reports also saying that should he win, he's going to move up in weight, Gonzalez.
Interesting, though. Well,
you're right. Before you answer, you're right. I would like to see an Estrada rematch first before he moves up, but go ahead and answer the question about Quadras.
Carlos Quadras. What do I remember about him? He was with Robert Garcia, and I think he had a recent fight just a couple trying to refresh my memory on him.
In Japan.
Yeah, against I'm trying to remember who the opponent was too. I have to kind of refresh my memory on him. He was with Robert Garcia's gym, and he had a fight just recently. I can't remember how the fight went. I think he won the fight by, what was it? Points?
Yes.
It was by points, I believe. So I can't remember too much about him right now. I actually have to just look at something on him, and then I'll be able to tell you what's up with him.
Okay, for those who have seen Quadra's fight, your assessment of him. I think he's a darn good fighter. And a victory over Quadras, I would give him more credit for that than the win over Valori in my estimation, in my observation.
Is he moving up to fight Carlos Quadra? Is that a fact?
From the reports I've read, EJ, I'm joining us live right now, EJ Boxing Live. From the reports I've read, should he beat Segura, they're trying to set up a fight with Quadras at 115.
Well, Quadra when he won the belt, man, to be honest with you, he won the belt on the head clash against the Thailand fighter, was beating the crap out of him with some body shots, and they cheated him. They cheated the Thailand fighter, and if anything, he shouldn't even be the champion. And since then, he's putting a mediocre performances holding the belt. So in my opinion,
that was in Mexico, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was in Mexico.
I think it's improved since then.
The that Thai fight was in Mexico, and it was in Mexico City, and
that's right. Yeah. When he put it on, the Thai fighter, I don't commentary on that. Yeah, the Thailand fighter for me was winning the fight. Came back with some devastating body shots, and then because of the body he was hitting the body shots, they head clashed. And to me, I think they robbed him. And to me, he shouldn't even be the champion. So if Chocolate was to move up for him, I think Chocolate will beat him. He's undefeated right now, but to me, he hasn't proved anything. The Thailand fight, on the other hand, is put together like a 10-win winning streak, and he wants his belt back. And up to now, the WBC, he's the number one there. They still haven't given him his title shot. So if Chocolate was to move up, I like Chocolate in that fight. If he fights him, and that can set up the Inoue fight, and maybe with the Estrada fight. Maybe he doesn't want the Estrada fight, man. Estrada's a real badass, man. He's got 2 belts down there. You think about it, he's got 2 belts and no one even talking about him. He should, Chocolito, and this is what the criticism about him, I say, he hasn't unified in none of the divisions he's been in. He hasn't unified none. Every division he's been in, he gets 1 belt. He hasn't tried to be no undisputed champion. So, in my opinion, it's an easy fight for him if he takes it. I got him winning on points.
I'll just open it up before we move on. Your thoughts on what you just said.
He fought Kokai Eto. That's the guy. Ito.
Yeah.
And he got some good boxing skills, man. When I saw him fight the Thai fighter, yeah, I agree with EJ. The Thai fighter beat him. Thai fighter got some skills too, but Quadra's got some decent skill. He can fight off the front foot, off the back foot. Kind of has a little bit of as I'm watching him here, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Canelo, a little bit, with the high guard and the head movement and the body movement as well.
Yeah, that's not a bad call, actually.
Yeah. So and there's his left hooking Ito. Yeah. What I would say about this fight is if the thing I would need to know is how does Roman Gonzalez adjust to the weight class? That's what I want to know. That's all I probably want to know more about.
And he's going to want an adjustment fight at that weight. He's not going to go, full tilt against a top guy in a new weight class. That's not going to happen.
That would be a great matchup when Canelo faces GGG, because it's kind of like a miniature Canelo versus a miniature GGG, if you think about it. Because Roman Gonzalez's style is something like GGG's style, something like it. I'm not saying it's like it. But
that actually could be done. That's not a bad call.
So that would actually be a pretty nice card.
Yep.
Yeah. Although more and more, I think that fight might not be until next May.
I hope it's this year.
I think we all hope it's in the summer. I think we all hope it's in September, but I think it might drag out just a little more than that. Well, we'll see.
You think Canelo will need another fight?
I think Golden Boy and K2 want as Oscar is very fond of saying, they would like to let this marinate, and they'd like to see this build up a little more.
I'm still hoping for September because I think
Dang.
if this fight in May, he fights a 160 pounder and he does well against that 160 pounder, they should fight in September. If he's having problems with the weight, fighting a guy at that weight, then I guess you might have to get another fight in.
Well, and but it is also going to be about the money, and it depends on where it happens. This May fight is going to be a big test of Canelo's drawing power in a bigger arena. Can Canelo sell out the bigger MGM arena? You know, he sold out. He didn't quite sell out. I mean, for all intents and purposes, he sold out Mandalay Bay, but Mandalay Bay only holds 12,000. The new arena is going to hold 23,000. So can Canelo pack that place? That's what they want to know.
Minute Maid Park.
Minute Maid Park, 31,000.
Exactly. I think he can, and they could get more people in. You know what I mean? What they'd love to think about is making that fight big enough to where they could put it. They can call up their buddy Jerry Jones and put it in Dallas. There was no coincidence that Triple G just did a little bit of a publicity circuit at the end of the year through Texas, and he went to a Cowboys game and was on the sidelines, met Jerry Jones, the whole thing. So you see them priming the pump there for a fight at a venue that they would both accept. Canelo doesn't want to go to New York. I'm not sure Triple G, I think he'll go where he needs to go, but I'm not sure he wants to fight in Vegas necessarily. If they can really fill a big venue, you know, they're going to want to test that first. And Canelo has the May Cinco de Mayo dates locked in for the next few years at the new MGM Grand, MGM2, or I don't know what they're going to call it. And they're going to want to test the waters a little bit. This May, it'll be very exciting because, of course, it'll be the very first event in that arena, and a lot of people will want to go just for that reason. So they want to make sure he passes the test. I just hope he doesn't get a stinky, slow opponent that just, you know, he just takes out. I think he needs to do more than that, but that goes along with our theme of the night, that not every single fight is going to be a home run. So you'll see who we get to step in with Canelo.
Will this be some bullshit if it's at 160?
Yeah.
Will this be a pay-per-view? That's the other question.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm quick to say that. No, I don't think so, because I think they'd like to build the excitement for that GGG Canelo pay-per-view, and they're going to want to give out a few free samples first.
Are you guys hearing that it's Rosado is the front runner for this fight?
I am hearing that, and I'd be, you know what, and I'd be fine with that.
You would?
Be okay with that.
You'd be fine with that?
That's good fight.
I would be fine with that.
Yeah, GGG fought Rosado, common opponent.
He's 1-4-1, and he's gonna get a shot at the belt.
When Cotto had the belt, look who the people who's fighting: Daniel Gill, and then some of the people. So why can't Canelo fight Rosado? Rosado's okay. Rosado's
1-4-1 in his last 6, and one of those beats.
But
Lemieux he lost, and Triple G.
He's well liked. He brings it's the Mexico versus Puerto Rico crowd. It's always a winner. He was at the Cotto and Canelo fight, and he was everywhere, man. He was very visible. He's very well liked.
He's from the creek.
And those losses were not blowouts. You know, in retrospect, think back to his fight with Golovkin. You know, he was as tough in the ring against Golovkin as anyone Triple G has fought. Yes, he beat him, but it was primarily because he had gotten cut up so bad. And
never knocked him down. Never knocked him down either.
Did not knock him down.
But that fight wasn't close, and neither was a Lemieux fight.
I
like the guy. I like the guy. I think he's a good guy. But
we are talking, in this case, entertainment value, and it's a fight that would sell. It's a fight that would sell in Vegas.
I don't know if his trainer though Vargas wants that fight to happen. He says he wants Rosado to have another fight before he faces Canelo. So maybe Lemieux.
No, they want Lemieux in March. They want Lemieux to fight in March, and that's the reason why Willie Monroe's also in the running for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those are fine with me. I mean, it's not going to be. This will not be a challenging fight. This will be the coronation fight for Canelo.
Showcase.
It shouldn't be a challenging fight. We don't know if
he's not fighting no Triple G, man. He's not fighting Triple G, man. Like I don't know why he's not going to be fighting Triple G this year.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Triple G.
I agree with you.
It's not happening.
Next year, I think.
Yeah, next year. That's what it is.
Realistic.
Yeah, it's next year, man.
I think so.
But I'm still hoping for it to happen this year, though.
Yeah. I think it'll happen. I don't think it'll happen in September.
I don't know if I'm the only one, but
so.
I'm really upset about this if Rosado gets that fight.
Really?
Why is that? Why?
Okay, let me ask you guys this. What are the point of the rankings?
No, who follows the rankings? No one follows the rankings.
The question is,
they're subjective. They're subjective at best.
No, so
Golden Boy,
why does the sanctioning body have rankings? Why does the sanctioning body have rankings?
Golden Boy own the rankings, man. They change them as well when they can. Vladimir Klitschko was number 3 pound for pound, and he just lost against Tyson Fury. He's no longer in the rankings no more, and Tyson Fury hasn't even moved up.
I'm not debating. I'm not debating that the rankings are garbage. I'm saying what is the point of it? If I'm a sanctioning body and I have a belt and I have rankings, this is supposed to be the point.
He's like the Josecito Lopez of the middleweight division. He just gets all the great fights, man.
Wow.
Ain't no disrespect to Josecito Lopez, but it's true.
My neighbor, don't.
He's more like Sogo Carraz, man. More like a Sogo Carraz.
He's exciting though. He doesn't get knocked out.
He's just blood and guts. It's just another blood and guts fight. That's all it is. That's all it is.
He got some skill too.
You're right.
He got some skill.
If you're looking for a competitive fight, this is what they're doing. When they get the belts, they're gonna put guys in there. They haven't got a chance in hell. That's entertainment. I understand your frustration, but this is the game. This is what they do, man. This is what they've been doing in boxing long. They've been doing this all the while.
Right, but it doesn't mean it's right. I guess my
no, it doesn't mean it's right. No, it doesn't mean, but it's not that bad. But Rosado's not a bad. What I'm trying to say, Rosado's not a bad pick compared to what could have been. They could have picked worse than that, man. Rosado's not that bad. Look at the. Go ahead, girl.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And there's so many other considerations. You know, they like, if it's a Cinco de Mayo fight, they want that Mexico-Puerto Rico matchup, and they get that with Rosado.
I mean I actually wrote an article about this on my site, but the whole thing, to me, I know it's all screwed up in boxing. You know, it has all these politics and whatnot, but the whole thing with the rankings, like when you get up the rankings and you become the mandatory, or you're trying to get that 1 spot or 2 spots so you can get that shot at the belt, and then you have someone like Rosado, so the Canelo has the WBC belt. You have a guy like Rosado who's 1-4-1 in his last 6 fights, not even ranked in the top 15, and you got guys like Heeland and Triple G's, you know, with the interim champion for that, and you got other fighters there. It's like, what happens if Rosado just gets lucky and knocks Canelo out? So he's
good
champion.
Wow, great for him.
Then he gets to face Triple G all over again.
Good for boxing. It's good for boxing. Good for boxing, man.
Nah, I mean, then we don't see the Canelo Triple G fight, though, right?
They didn't want to fight each other anyway. Like he's ducking him anyway. They should have fought him straight away, so that'll teach them a lesson, innit? That's all that happened.
I don't think
gonna be upset.
Canelo's ducking him. I think his team is, though. I think he's you know, with
Canelo.
fighters,
I don't think Canelo's ducking him either. But Oscar.
Oh no, for sure.
Straight away after the press conference.
Oscar, you know what? Because Canelo is Oscar's cash cow. Who else is?
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of gold.
But in all fairness, again,
Schaefer left. a lot of the guys left. Canelo stayed loyal to Oscar, and Oscar's going to protect him until he can build up his stable. Oscar needs just a little bit more time to build up guys like Diego de la Hoya, you know, and
he ain't going nowhere.
But in all fairness, Canelo is a one. I know people say he's 170 something, but he's a 154 pounder. He's never really faced a 160 pounder yet. That's the point.
Oscar's got a stable though. Yeah, Oscar's got a stable. He's got King Kong. He got King Kong, Luis Ortiz, man. He's got some decent guys contending for the championship already.
But
Canelo's the next pound for pound, though.
Money guy in the stable yet. I mean, that's the other issue is, you know, let's think about it. Let's think about rankings for a second. We all watched on the Cotto Canelo undercard this wonderful fight between Miura and Vargas. But the higher ranked guys, you know, in the ring, you know, with Guillermo Rigondeaux.
Yep.
Nobody after that completely stunk up the joint fight is going to want to buy a ticket to Rico.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
It was worse.
No, it wasn't. Tyson Fury versus bloody Gladiator Klitschko was worse than that. And the thing is the commentators are so biased. Yes, it was. That was worse than that. If you listen, you put different commentators in that, and now they'll make that fight better than it was. Listen, that fight wasn't that bad. That fight wasn't that. No, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It was really, girl. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad, girl. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Now, I didn't have the benefit of the announcers until I saw it later because I saw those fights live.
I like Rico.
Inside that venue, it was horrible.
I'm a Rico fan, and that was pretty bad.
Nah, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Politics.
All I gotta say though, Canelo is the future.
It's not politics. It's not politics.
But Canelo,
it was politics. It was politics.
Well, here's what I'm trying to say.
Canelo is the future of boxing.
Let's just say it wasn't Rigo's finest hour. I think that's fair.
No, it's not fair. He completely shut the guy. He completely shut the guy out. Yeah, and the guy was telling Rigo to come fight him. I don't understand. Like in boxing, hit and not be hit. No, but our boxing is to get hit and not be hit.
He was throwing
no, man. Rigo's getting hate. Rigo threw more punches and landed more punches than Tyson Fury. That fight, Tyson Fury and Gladiator Klitschko wasn't exciting either, but they boosted that one up. It's just you put different people. It's too much bias down there. It wasn't that bad, really.
Terrible fights.
But but you know what it is. No, but they're not. Hold on. They're not trying to say Gladiator Klitschko. They're saying Gladiator Klitschko and Tyson Fury was an exciting fight. They're saying it was a wonderful fight.
Trash.
Yeah, I know, but yes, they are. Yes, they are. Oh my, yes, they are. This is the point. This is the point I'm trying to make. It's just biased out there. Like he completely shut the guy out. The guy didn't know what to do, and he's completely frustrated. Well, what did Rico supposed to do? What, stand there, let the guy hit him in his face? Tyson Fury did, and Gladiator Klitschko was boring as well. But the thing is, boring as well. It wasn't exciting either. The hard boxing, hit and not get hit. If you don't like that, I don't understand. Like it weren't what you think. I mean, compared to Canelo and Cotto. That was people didn't like that. That was a good fight actually. It was okay. It's the expectation. You know what it is? You know what it is, girl? You know what it is, girl, right? I'll tell you what it is, right? It's people's expectation because Rigo is in the pound ranking very high, and Cotto and Canelo Alvarez, it's the expectation. And when the expectation comes to it, we feel like it should be higher than that, and when people get let down, that's all it is. If your expectation was lower than that, people wouldn't be disappointed like they were before. That's all it is.
I think that's part of it. But the truth is, the sport doesn't exist in a vacuum, and it does count on fans buying tickets, TV networks making money, whether it's commercial networks or whether it's pay-per-view, and so guys can be skilled, and I don't think anybody needs to volunteer to get hit, for God's sakes. But you have to entertain.
Let me go. Another thing as well, girl. Another thing as well. 1 minute, Michael. Another thing as well. 1 second. Another thing as well. It was a short notice opponent as well, so he has to adjust to that as well. You know, that's another thing as well. People need to factor in. It wasn't like he had time to train.
Rankings don't alone tell us who needs to get in the ring with each other. It
All
can't,
I'm saying,
can't just be ranking.
I'm just being super real in this case, and I'm saying Canelo is pound for pound. I'm not sorry, pay-per-view. This guy, he rakes in pay-per-views. All right,
Yes, he does.
900,000 pay-per-views. I'm not jeopardizing that for nothing.
Absolutely right.
Let me say this. Let me say this, and then we can move on because we're running pressed for time here. If folks are saying that Klitschko Fury was an exciting fight, they're wrong. Bottom line, they're wrong.
What do you say? What do you mean by exciting? Because you have to say, is it in reference to something else? Because for me, it was exciting. Okay, because I'm a guy who likes to watch at what is actually happening. For somebody else, it may not be exciting because they're not aware of what's actually taking place in the ring. You know?
I am aware of what I saw, of what I was watching in the ring, and they're wrong. Still, for me, Fury diffused Klitschko, but that doesn't mean in one specific aspect. The problem is.
And Klitschko was eating some left hooks. He was eating some left hooks all night.
The problem is the fight that was so boring is because Klitschko capitulated. He caved in mentally. He caved in physically. There are things that he could have done, and he just did not do. Conversely, Fury settled. Fury settled in that fight. He could have done more. Now let's compare Klitschko Fury to Rigo in his last bout. Both of those bouts, to Jacob's point, were not great fights. And EJ, the reason that I was so negative on Rigondeaux in his last fight, you're right. The game is to hit and not get hit. However, when you look at Rigo's career, he's been just as good defensively, but has done more offensively. Nonito Donaire, for example, he was spectacular in that fight, particularly the first 10 rounds. There is yes, he's been on a layoff, but once he gained, you knew he was superior. He could have done the same thing in his last fight that he did with Donaire, and people could have came away with like, okay, now we know that's Rigo. He didn't do it in that last fight. That's what turned me off. When the opportunity was there, the opportunity to look spectacular like he did against Donaire, like he did against Tian Kennedy. He could have done it in his last fight, and for some reason, he wouldn't put the pedal to the metal.
I would say this, that it wasn't a Takashi Miura, Fernando Vargas kind of fight. But to say that, in my opinion, when I look at Rigo is not as big as his opponent. That guy was much bigger than Rigo. That's a small little guy you're watching at. And for people expect him to go or to engage a guy who was actually catching him. So he limited the engagement. He started to lock up. He was locking up a lot, clinching a lot in that fight. And he was turning his opponent. He was making that guy miss. I remember the guy missed completely and went through the ropes. It was funny.
But I'm not talking.
And I'm just saying.
When I say
I'm just saying that as a guy, you remember he's old and he's small. And what you have to take into consideration is self-preservation first, and then you look at mounting your offense. And the guy, he was bringing the fight to Rigo. He was bringing the fight.
But my point is,
well said what you need. Well said what you need. Let's move on, Mike.
Let me finish, please. But my point is, Tian Kennedy was coming forward and doing the same thing.
Not the same thing.
Cordoba was coming forward and doing the same thing.
Not the same
I'm
thing.
I'm just saying that Rigo, he could have and he should have done more. He just didn't for some reason. He didn't.
That Filipino fighter, he was no joke. I'll tell people, Rigo made him look stupid, but he was no joke. That boy, and he got some power in that punch. And that, if Rigo wasn't doing what he was supposed to do, and he was rusty already, he probably would have gotten his ass knocked out.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly the point I'm trying to say. The guy was dangerous. The guy was dangerous. I put money on that guy. I put money on that guy to upset Rigo, you know, remember? You can get a lot for that. I remember that.
But Rigo didn't do himself any favors, though, because the guy wants to get popular.
He comes out on the show every time.
Hey, let's go, man. Hey, Michael, let's move on, man.
I never see trying.
Let's leave it at this, guys. Let's leave it at this. There's a reason why Rigondeaux is going back to his old trainer. He
Yes.
even knows that he stunk up the joint.
He admitted it after the fight. He admitted it at the post-fight comments. He said, "Listen, I know I was rusty. I'm sorry. I'll do better next time. Thanks for letting me come back." He was very apologetic to the fans.
And I'm saying this as a Rigo
knew what was
fan.
going on in that arena. We were really not real happy. Everyone's falling asleep, going to the bar. Forget it.
And I'm saying this as a major Rigo fan. That was his time to shine. He should have brought it. You don't let opportunities slip by like that at this point of his career. You just don't.
Plus,
Yeah, who's going to give him another chance? I mean,
we think he's, what does he say he is, 33? 37? Rigo?
Yeah.
We don't know how old he is.
He's old,
We
dude.
don't know how old he is.
And you're talking to a guy
45 for all we know.
and you're talking to a guy who thinks he would whoop Frampton. He would whoop Quigg.
I know.
I think he could beat Lomachenko. And I'm in the negative in that. I'm in the minority in that. So I'm just saying as a Rigo fan.
No, you're not. No, you're not, man. No, you're not. A lot of people feel that way as well. But hey, when did you get off talking about Chocolito? Chocolito moving up is gonna be fat anyway, man. Like he needs to stay at flyweight. He looks fat at flyweight anyway. Moving up to super flyweight, he looks too fat and munchkin. He needs to stay where he is. If you see how fat he is, he needs to sit down and just. He's so 5'4", and then he needs to stay where he is anyway, and leave that Mexican kid alone. But let's move on, Michael, man. Come on, man. We're gonna burn up your clock again. Go ahead.
Yes, let's do a recap of 2015. Fighter of the year, KO of the year, upset prospect, fighter of the year. What we would like to see. I want to start at prospect of the year. I will start with you. What you need from the fighter that you saw in 2015. Who would you consider your prospect / rising star in 2015?
Adrian Granados.
Explain why, please, briefly.
Oh, this guy, he never get the nod in fights, and he always brought it in every fight. And this time, he made sure he beat a really good up-and-coming prospect, and I think I give him the nod on that one.
EJ?
What was the question? Prospect of the year.
Prospect / rising star in 2015. Who you got?
So why did What You Need pick someone who lost? And anyway, I ain't getting it. Prospect of the year,
Adrian Granados? No, he didn't lose.
Oh, okay.
Adrian Granados' last fight won.
Who's Adrian Granados? Who is he?
He's the guy who stopped Amir Khan.
Oh, that kid. My bad, Matt. Yeah, that guy. I don't know about prospect, man. If he was supposed to. Anyway, I'm not getting into it. Hey, prospect. I'm not getting into it, man. Prospect of the year is my same prospect from last year, man, and that's what's his name again? Andy Joshua, man. It's the same guy. Andy Joshua, man. Definitely, man. He secured beating a rival, domestic rival. He still hasn't got that many fights on the thing. He's on the rise. And the world needs to watch out, man. He's still a prospect for me. He's not a contender. He's no way as a contender at the minute, for the champ. I know people boasting him up and he can fight Fury. Nah, it's not enough. He's still a prospect. And he's my prospect of the year.
Gail?
Same guy, Anthony Joshua, absolutely. Prospect's the right position for him. No need to move him along faster than he's ready. And suddenly we've got a really busy, exciting heavyweight division. And he's a hot ticket in a hot division.
Jacob.
My prospect of the year was Jason Quigley. He's an Irish fighter who signed with Golden Boy. He's I've seen him fight a couple times live. I really like what the guy has. He seems like he has a good head on his shoulders. He's got good skills, decent power. So he's one I'm looking out for, and I'm going to continue to follow.
Daniel.
I'm gonna throw a little curveball here. I'm gonna say Errol Spence, because he's starting to build up a name. You see the technical prowess. Even though the opponents were pretty much trash, if you want to put it in blunt terms, but he did his job. He showed real technical skill, and he showed, particularly in Texas, he has a marketability. There's something about this kid that makes you want to pay attention to him. And granted, now if he's now ranked. He's in the rankings, like Jacob mentioned with the rankings. He's in the rankings, I think, in all 4 sanctioning bodies now, at least in the top 10 at his weight class. So he could be part of that WBC welterweight tournament soon enough.
And I'm agree with you. I'm gonna co-sign with you in terms of prospect of the year, Daniel. I'm going with Errol Spence. I've been touting him myself and the brother Natty Turner. We've been touting him for a couple of years now. To your point, I think he has that it factor. I think he brings unique qualities to that division, welterweight division. The fact that he's a southpaw, the body punching. I think he's very strong at that weight, physically strong. Sure, there's some technical aspects to his game he needs to improve, but I just think him overall, I just think he's the goods. I will throw an honorable mention to J. Rock Williams, to J. Rock. Yes. But right now, prospect of the year for me, Errol Spence Jr. Let's go to upset of the year. I want to start at this. What you need, you mentioned him. I'm going with Granados over Emir Imam. Granados, nobody knew nothing about him really. Emir Imam, a lot of buzz about him heading to the fight. Knocked him down, knocked Granados down in the first round, I believe. It looked like he was going to stop him in 3-4 rounds. But then as the fight started to go along, you could see Granados, he was grinding, he was gaining his teeth, he was setting his feet into the bout. And by the 4th, 5th round, it's like, uh-oh, Imam's in trouble here. By the 6th round, he was talking to his corner. How do I stop the jab? How do I get the jab going? I don't know what to do. And when the corner couldn't give him an adequate response, it's like he's going to get stopped. And it was the way that he broke down Emir Imam, neutralized him completely, punished him the last 3-4 rounds. For me, the fact that he won and the way that he did it.
And he predicted he was going to win too.
Yes. So for
coming
me,
into the fight,
Granados 8th round stoppage over Emir Imam. I'll go to you what you need, and then everybody can respond. Your upset of the year.
Same thing. It's Granados. I was shocked when I heard Emir Imam was beaten. I did research Granados. He had close fights with Frankie Gomez, Felix Diaz. To just name a couple of names, even Brad Solomon. The decision just didn't go to him. That's the thing. He wasn't the guy who was the back guy with the main promoter. That's why he didn't win those fights. So he also spars with Juan Manuel Marquez, and this kid has a style, something like it's kind of slashed with a boxer style, inside fighter style. He could box you on the outside, he could box off the back foot, or he could come in on the inside, and his combinations are interesting. So yeah, this is the guy I think that pulled off an upset of the year. I think everybody thought Emir Imam could beat Adrian Broner and anybody in the 140 division. They're thinking of him matching up with Terence Crawford, Victor Postol, but this kid came through and spoiled everything. I think he should fight Postol, actually.
I think you should too.
Yes, okay.
My upset of the year, it has to be Tyson Fury. Come on, when you unseat, a unified champion who's been at the top of the division for 10 years, that is an accomplishment, and that is an upset. We'll see whether it was a total fluke or not when they rematch, but for now, that was the upset of the year, with Huck Slovakia a close second.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine is also Fury versus Klitschko. I think that the reason it made my upset of the year was because, not that I didn't give Fury a chance, but the fact that he totally almost shut out Klitschko, and it was like completely one-sided. So it was how it ended. Like y'all said, he'd been on top of the division for 10 years. He was going for the record books in the sense of title defenses, and it was just stunning to see how much Fury was able to take Klitschko out of his game. And I think a lot of insiders are picking Klitschko to win that one pretty easily. I know some people did have Tyson Fury, but that's my upset of the year also.
Yeah, absolutely. You see, the thing is, you guys laughed me off when I picked Tyson Fury. Everyone was even Michael making them boo-boo sounds and everything.
That's right.
Yeah, laughing me off, and I broke it down. Told you exactly how I actually probably picked the knockout. It was probably a bit too far-fetched, yeah. But the shot was done the job.
Because you said
Yeah. Listen, I'll tell you what, yeah, in the rematch, you'll knock him out in the rematch. If Vladimir gets in there, you'll knock him out in the rematch. But the thing is, yeah, the reason why I was saying that, I could see everything just going away, for me, I could see it already. But anyway, it happened. The upset happened. I was vindicated. And then another thing as well is Kawaki, and girl read my mind, Kawaki and Marco Huck. Yeah, it has to be, man. Long, he was going for his same thing. He's a long reigning WBO cruiserweight champion with title defenses nearly equal to Johnny Nelson's, looking to tie it or go past Johnny Nelson's.
Yeah,
and he got upset as well.
14 defenses for Huck.
Yeah, exactly. See, another one as well, and Kawaki came and upset him as well. For me, it has to be them two because of the longevity, how long the title defense is. Vladimir was going for Joe Lewis's record, trying to beat his record. Trying to beat Johnny Nelson. I actually interviewed Johnny Nelson a couple of weeks after that. He was so ecstatic. He was laughing his head off. He was happy. He was happy he's still in the record books and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, that's how it is, man. So it has to be for me last year. And boxing was great last year. Them two upsets, same as girl.
Daniel?
It's pretty much the tie with me. It's Tyson Fury with Klitschko and Granados with Imam because they have significance. Granted, the Fury fight had a lot more significance. You just unseated a heavyweight champion that had a decade-long stranglehold in the division. So that by itself, by the significance of it, makes an upset of the year. But I want to lean more towards the Granados-Imam because Imam didn't really have to take that fight. He could have just waited for Paso to get free and then schedule that fight. But he took it in. He never adjusted. Granados came in there. He came to win. And ultimately, like I said, unended a lot of things. Like he unended a lot of things for Don King. With Imam, you pretty much have to get him on a 3-fight schedule now to get him close to being to where he was before. But probably for significance, I'm going to say Fury Klitschko because it's the heavyweights. People pay attention to the heavyweights.
Let's move to knockout of the year. I'm going with you on this one, Gail. What is your knockout of the year in 2015?
Canelo and James Kirkland. It was definitive. It was a star-making kind of knockout. Was spectacular the way he, put Kirkland down. And it didn't hurt that the cameraman from HBO was positioned perfectly to catch Kirkland spinning toward him. And doing a 360 before he hit the deck. It was as splashy as a knockout gets. In the third round of boot.
Go with you, Daniel. Knockout of the year in 2015.
Knockout of the year, Hook Willowacky. Because that was an insane knockout. Because first of all, that was the first time. The first knockdown was the first time that Marco Huck went down.
That's true.
In his career, and the way Glowacki followed it back, and just the visual effects of it, Hook going up and just being between the ropes like this, and he was completely gone. You can tell, you can tell with this guy, he's gone. That was impressive. But the main reason I probably wouldn't agree with the Canelo Kirkland is because Kirkland wasn't with Ann Wolfe. Something about Ann Wolfe just brings the best to Kirkland.
Right.
So it's definitely Glowacki and Hook for me.
I'm not too sure about that. I think Stephen Cunningham might have dropped him, in Marco Huck. But my knockout of the year is Francisco Vargas versus that Miura fight, the Japanese dude, man. That knockout finished him off. Francisco, it come off the floor to come back and to stop him, boy. Beat him, stop him. That's for me, knockout of the year, man. That was one of the great fights of the year as well. So that's me.
Yeah, it was a super fight.
Yep.
What you need? Your choice is your pick is knockout of the year in 2015.
I was going to say what EJ said, but I'll go with Cornelius Bundridge versus Jamal Charlo, just because of just the way how he hit him with that shot. Pow! And he just went down. Slapped him, man. Just for that, just for the effects. I'll just put it like that. He beat the old man. He beat that old man bad, man.
Never put a dog in the pit with the lion. That is the dopest.
Yeah.
That is the dopest quote of 2015. What Charlo said after the bout. Oh, that was so dope. You, Jacob, your pick is knockout of the year in 2015.
Me and Gail are on the same wavelength there. I got Canelo, Kirkland. I thought when Canelo hit Kirkland, I thought they were going to arrest him for murder. He went down, and I thought this guy's dead. And you know what? I'm not, again, I'm not a big Canelo fan, but I mean, it was on the big stage, 35,000 or 30,000 at the Minute Maid Park, and he wrecked him with that punch.
When the referee doesn't even bother to administer a count, it's a good knockout.
That was a bad one.
Yeah, let me get my.
That was choice.
Messed him up bad. I think he took a couple of years off of him too.
Yeah.
I think so.
Scariest knockout was Gabe Bracero versus Danny O'Connor.
Yes, I was wondering if anyone was going to mention that. That was my runner-up.
Not my pick. That's not my pick.
That was my runner-up. Yeah, that was brutal.
My pick is, I'm going underground here. Zolani Tete, the way he stretched and iced out Paul Butler early this year. Let me give it back. Let me set it up. Tete, unknown South African, he won the belt in Japan. Came to make his first defense against Butler, a guy highly touted. Everybody, a lot of folks coming into the fight thought Butler was going to win, even the announcers. But you can see from early on that Tete, he was boxing the shit out of this dude, picking him off with that southpaw jab. Anytime Butler came in, left hand, right hooks, went to the body even, moved on him beautifully. Took the spirit away from Butler. And then he came in with just a perfect left uppercut in round 8, put Butler down, and the fight was basically over from there. The technique that Tete showed, the speed at which he showed, the timing, it was the perfect punch at the perfect time to get the perfect result. So for me, Solani Tete, Paul Butler, that happened place earlier this year in the UK, that's my knockout for 2015. Just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful shot.
I would be remiss if I didn't add one more to the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Jacobs over Peter Quillen. That was quite the performance, and that was a game changer.
That was a shocker for me.
That was a shocker for us. Spectacular performance, and it put him in the mix in the middle of a very busy middleweight division. So, man, it couldn't have come at a better time for him.
Yeah.
Fighter of the year. Who do you have as your fighter of the year? I'll go to you. I'll go to you,
boxing.
EJ, fighter of the year.
Floyd Money Mayweather, of course, isn't it? Floyd Money Mayweather beating Manny Pacquiao, man. Fighter of the year. No doubt, man. Floyd Money Mayweather, I don't care what anyone tells me, that was the biggest fight of the century, bar none, grossing millions, the whole world was watching, and Floyd put on a show, regardless. Again, it's another expectation thing where people thought the fight was going to be better than what it is, and, if your expectation was low, then maybe you might have enjoyed it, but it was a complete shutout. And for Money Mayweather to cap his career, to retire like that, as it stands right now, has to be Floyd Money Mayweather. Hands down. No one else compete the amount of money they generated, like the build up, the whole world gravitates. Now that the only thing could do that is the heavyweight division right now. Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, they're the probably only ones that probably gravitate to that, but they still will not generate that much attention like Mayweather and Pacquiao did in that fight early last year. So it has to be that. That was a freaking, 5 year, 6 year, whatever build up. Nah, come on, man. It has to be that. And the way Mayweather dealt with it, Mayweather. That's it.
Unmute your mic, Jacob. I'm going to you. Who is your pick as fighter of the year for 2015?
My fighter of the year was James DeGale. He came into the Lion's Den and fought a very good Anthony Durrell, and knocked him down twice, and I think he proved a lot. And then he went to his next fight and went to Canada and on the guy's home turf, and again in a very exciting competitive fight. But I think everybody had DeGale winning that fight, but he did a very good job, and I think he kind of showed that he's, that next level person.
Daniel.
Fighter of the year. I'm gonna say Canelo, because he showcased a lot this year. He showcased that he can go with a banger with Kirkland, and pretty much, like I said, it was a really scary knockout when you see it every single time, even when you know the results. And then basically, like I said, he taking on Cotto, taking on a fight that Freddie Roach thought it was going to be an easy fight for Cotto, and not just land clean uppercuts, but just impose the will on a guy who has been in the ring with almost everyone. So, and let's face it, this was the year that he pretty much was anointed the next pay-per-view superstar. Main reason why I say Canelo is the fighter of the year. He's taking Floyd's place now as the pay-per-view guy.
What you need? What you need? Your thought is 2015. Who's your pick as 2015 fighter of the year?
I'm going through so many names. It's just so many names.
Do you want me to pass it to Gail and come back to you?
Pass it to Gail, because I can't.
Okay, Gail, your pick is.
I feel for what you need, because I did the same thing. I got it down to a short list real quick, and the short list was Floyd, Tyson Fury, Chocolatito, Canelo, and Triple G. And I eliminated Fury because we don't know whether that was a fluke or not, so it's a little early. If he wins next year, he's fighter of the year, I think. So we got a chance there. Chocolatito, again, I think the jury's still out a little bit with him. He was easy to eliminate. So we're down to Floyd, Canelo, and Triple G. Floyd, there are a lot of people who would pick him and did, and I have no quarrel with that at all. But I think Floyd always makes sure the betting is in his favor. And there's nothing wrong with that. But Floyd does not take a lot of risks at this point of his career. He doesn't need to, but I think that doesn't make him a fighter of the year for that reason, because he's just simply not willing to really risk it. I could make a case for him, but for my personal criteria, he wasn't it. So it came down to it came down to Canelo and Triple G. Canelo had a great year, but I don't think he faced the kind of competition that Golovkin did this year. Cotto has been a great fighter, but Cotto is a smaller man, much smaller, especially when you really see them in there together, up close. And Cotto is admittedly on the downward curve of his career. So it was a little like Floyd beating Mann. And the Kirkland knockout, fantastic, but we were just talking about how Kirkland is simply not the same fighter without Ann Wolfe in his corner. To me, this was the year that Golovkin finally answered a lot of questions. A lot of people were looking for him to fight someone of the caliber of David Lemieux, and it was not so much that he took Lemieux apart. He didn't blast through and annihilate him like he did with Martin Murray or Willie Monroe earlier in the year. He did it in a completely different way, behind a jab hard enough to snap a dude's head back over and over. And everyone should be even more scared of this guy now, because he can either beat you with power or he can just jab you into submission all night. He doesn't care which way it goes, and that makes him very dangerous, because he can adapt to whatever kind of guy he's got in front of him. So he was willing to fight 4 times a year. He'd only managed to get 3 opponents, and he also sold out Madison Square Garden. No, the pay-per-view numbers, not the greatest, but being in that garden with nearly 21,000 seats sold, no Al Heyman giveaways, let me tell you, everybody paid for those seats, and the place was going nuts from start to finish. And I've been at some wild fights this year, and some very loud arenas. None were even close to that. That did it for me. in admittedly a really tight race this year. Triple G.
Man, when I started talking names, Timothy Bradley's one. We got Bad New Jack. That's another one. We
Good
got
choice. Good choice.
we got
Mention his name.
yeah, we got Sergey Kovalev is another one because Pascal and Muhammadi was a soft touch, but still Deontay Wilder fighting a number of times this year. Remember he got a title this year, right? He won it off of Stavern.
Yes, he did at the beginning of the year.
That's right. He fought like how many times now? 4, I think. So three,
He had
right?
3 fights this year.
3 times, which is impressive, right? I mean, you have also Glowacki, because he beat everybody he fought this year, and he also beat Huck, right? Then you have Terrence Crawford. You still got to mention Terrence Crawford, even though he only fought 2 times this year. Very emphatic wins, you know. And you have a couple British fighters you have to put in there. You have your boy Selby, Flanagan. Okay, so when I was looking at it, you could put in Floyd there too because of the magnitude of the win. But he did fight Andre Berto, so that kind of dampens it off for me. But in the end, I'm gonna go with who, boy? Is it gonna be Bradley or Jack? It's either Bradley or Jack. I think I'm gonna go with who do I go with, man? Bradley got a better resume. Bradley's gonna get it.
Jack.
Bradley's my man.
Yeah.
I would have that. Basically, coming off of the loss that he suffered, to come back in the way that he did. Come on. Oh, what you need? He left us right quick. Hopefully, he'll be right back.
Oh, dropped out.
Yeah, he dropped out on us. Hopefully, he'll be right back. I would have come between Bradley and Jack. I'm impressed by Jack and how he's come back to become a champion. And in his first title defense, the way he looked, I like what I saw, and hopefully him and DeGale can get the fight in 2016. You know what? Say what you want, but I'm going with EJ on this one. I'm going with Floyd. On the one hand, it's like I'm basing it off the Pacquiao fight mainly because, on one hand, it's like, okay, he did what he was supposed to do. I always thought he would beat Pacquiao. However, it's the biggest fight since De La Hoya and Tito, the highest grossing fight money-wise, and it was, to a lot of folks, the number 1 and 2 fighters pound for pound. And Floyd not just beat him, he didn't just beat him, he beat him rather easy. Only gave Pacquiao 2 rounds. Pacquiao could do nothing that fight. And the way he performed, the way he stepped up, for me, I have to give it to Floyd. I have to give it to Floyd. I'm going to give you a quick chance to respond right quick what you need. You were saying, asking between Bradley and Jack. I would go with Jack because of where he's come back from.
And also, he beat actually tougher opposition, I think, than Bradley did. But
and that Groves fight was highly impressive to me. Highly impressive.
Yeah, the Groves and the Durrell. But I would say, though, Bradley got a longer resume. That's why I picked Bradley over Jack. But Jack, he definitely should. He deserves to be Fighter of the Year, actually, out of everybody else. Because his fights were exciting. It was on a big pay-per-view card. I think it was 2 pay-per-view cards. No, one was PBC and one was Showtime, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jack and Groves was on the Mayweather-Berto undercard.
Right, so that was the pay-per-view.
And it can be argued that Jack's performance was the most impressive performance of the whole card.
Yeah,
well,
it
yeah,
was.
Martinez, so that was a pretty barn-burning fight too. But Jack was very impressive on that card, no question.
Yeah.
And really, a Fighter of the Year is what they've done from January 1st to December 31st. So
Correct.
if you're talking about the difference being Bradley's resume, you really can't consider that. So
That's true.
Jack takes it for if that's your criteria, I'd go with Jack.
Yeah, because Jack had the tougher competition, I think, consistently, because George Groves wasn't easy and Durrell wasn't easy. That's 2 top-tier competitors, and they're defensively and offensively very good. So I think he should get it then. And he was quiet. He's a real quiet guy the whole year.
Very, very under the radar. Very surprisingly good fight against Groves. He gave Groves a real hard time in that fight. It was not close. Jack is one of the real winners in the Mayweather stable. Him and Gervonta Davis, who I really like. Who I think everyone needs to keep an eye on that kid this year too. Those are the two quality fighters right now in the Mayweather promotion stable.
There's another one coming up. He's bad. That boy's bad. I'm not gonna say too much more about him.
Come on.
Okay. Don't leave us hanging there, man. Don't leave us hanging.
He's trained by Zab Judah's trainer.
You talking Yoel Judah?
No.
He's talking about Mayweather's nephew. He's talking about the nephew. He's talking about Mayweather's nephew.
Okay.
He's a nephew? He's his nephew?
Yeah, that's his nephew.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
You guys know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He looks
Yeah,
like
yeah.
him.
against me, but I know who you're talking about.
But he doesn't have the same surname, though. He doesn't have the same
They
surname.
haven't got the same son. That's his nephew. Yeah.
Oh, he does look like Floyd. That boy
that's his
is
nephew.
serious. He's in his second.
He's okay. He's okay. Yeah. I see him on Facebook.
He's still very young. Very young, though.
Yeah, he's very young.
Yeah.
I agree.
You have to resist the temptation with somebody with that kind of DNA and pedigree to move along too fast. You just don't want to do that.
True. But
Give him
he's
some time.
I know, but I'm just saying he's dangerous. I'm telling you now. I've seen what he does.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's a good call.
Okay.
Once he has proper hands, though, he needs to have proper hands. If his hands start to hurt him, he's gonna be in trouble.
One last question. I'm gonna start with you, EJ. 3 fights you'd like to see in 2016, and what's your bold prediction? And it doesn't have to be a specific fight. It could be outside the ring, promotional, manager, network, whatever. But 3 fights you'd like to see, and what's your bold prediction for 2016?
2016 is gonna be one of the best years for the PBC and boxing in general. Fights I want to see: Adonis Stevenson versus Andre Ward. I want to see Kovalev versus Andre Ward, and I want to see. There's another one in there. Let me think. Oh yeah, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. Yeah, that's the fights I want to see. And yeah, like I said, the prediction for 2016 is all good, man. It's all good. I mean, this year is quite slow, but the heavyweights. My prediction this year is the heavyweights are back. They're taking over boxing. Already at the start of the year, we've got a plethora of heavyweight fights. Just at the start of the year, Golden Boy's got the Luis Ortiz over here. We've got Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury there, Glashkov. Heavyweights, the heavyweights, man, the heavyweight. When the heavyweights are running boxing, boxing's always in a good state. I'll tell you, with Floyd, the eclipse of Floyd, and Manny Pacquiao kind of like winding out, the heavyweights will take over the heavyweight stage, and that for the casual fan, the general fans, they gravitate toward the big guys throwing punches, man, because there's gonna be a knockout. So boxing's looking good.
I go to you, Jacob. 3 fights you'd like to see, and what's your bold prediction for 2016 in boxing?
3 fights I want to see. Number 1 is Kovalev or Stevenson. I really want to see that fight. Don't know if it's going to ever happen, but it's my number 1. Lomachenko versus Rigondeaux. I think that one is possible in the sense that Rigondeaux got out of his contract and was with Rock Nation, and Lomachenko's with Top Rank, so hopefully they can make something happen. And then Golovkin versus Canelo. And as far as bold predictions, I'm gonna say that I don't think that Kovalev is gonna fight Ward this year, or at all. I don't think it'll happen at all.
Before I move on, explain why. Why you think that?
Well, the last time Ward fought 3 times in a single year was in 2009. His next fight is penciled in for March. I don't know. He's not active. He's been his own worst enemy with this whole contract thing, and then he got out of it, and he just, he didn't look all that great against Smith. I mean, Smith was, overweight, and you know, he should have probably put him away faster. And I don't know. I have a feeling that it's just not going to happen. Ward brings a lot of promise, but it's rare that he delivers since the Super 6.
I'm going to you, Gail. 3 fights you'd like to see, and what's your bold prediction for boxing in 2016?
Ooh, I've heard a lot of good ones already. I do think it has to be Kovalev either against Stevenson or Ward, and I like both those fights for completely different reasons. I think Kovalev and Stevenson is going to be an absolute barn burner, and it's going to shut one of those two guys up. I don't know which one. I think probably Stevenson. And for similar reasons, even though the style of fight would be completely different, Ward and Kovalev, I think that's a good matchup. But it is. I think we'll only see one or the other. We're not going to see both in one year. But I'd like to see one of those. Obviously, we're all waiting with great anticipation to see Triple G and Canelo. That's the fight everybody wants to see. I don't think that's going to be this year, but we can. But yeah, it doesn't mean it isn't the fight we wouldn't want to see most this year. I would also love to see, if it's not going to be Canelo, Golovkin get in with somebody like Daniel Jacobs. You know, based on his last performance, suddenly that becomes a very exciting fight to think about. And the truth is, any fight I get to see on a nice summer day outside at StubHub, I honestly don't care who it is. That's a good fight to me. I'm already, it's cold, it's raining in San Diego, we're all whining about it because we're all such pussies about rain in Southern California, and I'm just thinking about a nice sunny day outside watching boxing.
I'm with you on that, Gail. I'm with you 100%.
That sounds
60 degrees out there. Y'all
ready,
think it's cold.
Jacob? I mean, Jacob is ready. I'm ready. We're up. I'm ready to get in the car right now.
It's 60 degrees out there. Y'all think it's freezing.
No, it's been no. It hasn't even gotten to 60 on some days. It's killing me.
What you need? What you need?
Oh man, everybody's focusing
like
on they're only focusing on the big guys. I'm gonna go with the little guys. I like my
Good.
boy Menya Austin versus Hecky Butler. I want to see that fight.
Hey.
The little guys, let them do
Nice.
it.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. That's one of my fights. My next fight is Roman Gonzalez versus Juan F. Estrada. I want to see that fight. I may not see it, but I would love to see it. I'd love to see a rematch of that. And then we'll get a little bigger now. We get a little bigger. I want to see the rematch of Takashi Miura versus Francisco Vargas. The first one
Nice.
was
I forgot
great.
that one.
I want to see the second one.
Yes. Excellent.
I could go on and on and on, but I'll stop with that. I'll talk
What's
only
your
about
bold, what's your bold prediction for 2016?
I'm going to get most of the fights that I want.
I forgot to make my bold prediction.
Okay, go ahead, Gail.
My bold prediction is that we actually see Al Heyman out in the sunlight.
Hey, he was actually on Showtime. The epilogue or the ending of Mayweather Pacquiao, they actually had a little snippet of him walking in.
Well, I mean, like a real honest to God, out in the daylight interview. No sunglasses, none of that shit. Out in public.
I don't think that'll ever happen.
Nah, it won't.
That's quite the bold prediction.
Let me go back to you. What you need? You mentioned the Butler fight that you want to see. Give a brief reason why.
Well, to be honest with you, I like the little guys. Okay, I like how quick they are, how fast they are, and my favorite minimum weight out of all the minimum weights is Menya Austin. I like him a lot. He reminds me of a little Pacquiao. So I would like to see that style versus Hecky Butler's inside fighting style. I like the style clash up. It's going to be action. I mean, nobody's going to knock out anybody, but it's going to be action. So I want to see the WBC and the WBA unify. So I really want to see that fight.
I like it. Love it.
I like it. I like it. That's an underrated. You got to be a real boxer.
Hecky Butler, man. People sleep on that guy just because he's a little guy from South Africa, but
That's what I'm telling you, man.
bang.
You gotta be a real. I mean, that is
And you got to be
geekiest.
a complete gangster to dye your hair pink and purple and shit like that and get in the ring. I'm loving that.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
does the weirdest things with his hair.
I love
that,
the little guys. I really do.
that may have been the geekiest, nerdiest moment on the Pound for Pound Boxing Report ever. Damn.
That's
Hey,
one
man,
of the
that-
finest moments ever on this show.
I mean,
I love
look.
boxing, man. Come on.
EJ and I doing English commentary of Japanese bout, that's geeky, but to mention that dream fight, damn.
Hey, I like it though. I like Manyotin and I like Hickey Buckler.
Who can deny it?
I love them.
But that's a good fight, real talk, and we need to see Butler in there against a real fight, someone who can challenge him.
Yeah.
So real talk, that's a good matchup. That's a good match. I'm not mad at that. 3 fights I want to see. I want to see Roman Gonzalez fight either Inoue or rematch with Estrada. I would like to see Kovalev Stevenson. Third fight. I still would love to see Lomachenko Walters if that bout could ever be made.
Yeah,
Wow.
I agree. That's a good call. I think that's doable. I think that became more doable after Walter Sosa.
And
After
I'm breaking the rules here. I got 2 bold predictions. One, in light of what we saw with Holly Holm and Ronda Rousey, my prediction is we will see a significant women's bout on either HBO or Showtime
All right.
in
Nice.
2016. 2, if Inoue fights Gonzalez, particularly at the end of the year, he beats him.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Yep.
I could see that because he's a boxer. And
Yeah.
He moves well.
Yeah.
It could happen. Absolutely.
And Inoue is green, a little green still. He doesn't have the experience, but from a physical standpoint, he has the hand speed, he has the foot movement. He's the naturally bigger guy, I think, even though, well, yeah, he is the naturally bigger guy. Gonzalez started at strawweight. Inoue, he started at 108, a division up. But you see Inoue, he's a big guy. Even though he's fighting at 115 right now, he looks like he could move up to, he can finish his career at 122, possibly 126. And he has the power that Roman Gonzalez has never been in the ring with, even with Estrada. Estrada has the same skill set, but he hasn't faced anybody who can bang like this kid. So I think give him a couple more fights at the end of the year. I think Inoue beats him. I think Inoue can really beat him.
It's not bad.
And if he does, he will be not only fighter of the year in 2016, he will be the first Asian fighter to really, really catch on in the United States. Let that happen. HBO is going to roll with him big time.
Yeah, I agree. And they can't possibly lose.
Right.
And Roman's right now pound for pound #1.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's why it's a bold prediction.
Yeah, it is kind of bold. I would say that.
Yeah. Well, and you
Well,
need someone young and willing to be a little reckless and take a chance to succeed in a setup like that. And Inoue is.
I hope Gonzalez faces Estrada. I really feel that
That
he
fights
could,
ain't happening, man.
Yeah,
That fight's
I
happening.
think that's a good
I feel he could
Right.
really put a sort of a sort of conclusion to that bout because a lot of people think that Estrada beat him.
Yeah,
but
right.
them
And he has to fight him before he moves up to
them
secure
fights ain't
his-
happening though. Them fights ain't happening though, because like the Inoue, he's already the weight class above, and like they're not, you know what I mean? They're so far out. It's almost like,
but as I keep
yeah,
telling you,
I know you want it. I know, yeah, that obviously is your prediction, but they're so far out just for them to happen. It's like it's just they're on different planets, man. But you know what? That's your prediction, though. Hopefully, we
no,
can see that.
it's
Go.
not. It's not far out because Gonzalez said publicly he wants to move up in weight. B, if he beats Segura, he's planning to fight at 115 anyway. So
Yeah, well, they have to. Yeah, but this is what I'm trying to say. A lot of things has to happen for that to happen, and hopefully, you don't know. Inoue might have hand trouble. You know what I'm saying? There's loads of things. You know what I'm saying? It's not on the cards, but you know, I don't see it happening. To be honest with you,
lastly, HBO wants the fight.
they won a lot of fights, man. They want Hopkins to fight Arthur Abrahams. That's not gonna happen, is it? That's not happening either. They talk a lot of stuff over there. Jim Langley be lying all day. That guy's always lying. So I don't anything they say until it's down on the schedule. Until it's written down on the schedule, then I'll take it for real. But up until now, it's just up in the air. I knew he was supposed to fight Roman Gonzalez at the end of the year. That fight was supposed to happen this year. Last year, end of last year. You know what I'm saying? So they're way out. It's way out. The schedule is well out. I'm with Gail, man. Everything's happening in 2017, man. So and that's it. 2017, them fights might happen, but not this year. That's my take.
How about Gonzalez versus Ioka?
No.
Kazuka he ain't fighting no one, man. They don't wanna. They just wanna make a payday and just keep stay in their lane. Ain't no one taking no risk out here. They just wanna keep it up. The only one taking the risk, yeah.
How about
He ain't fighting.
No,
I ain't staying.
no. Ioka had the opportunity to fight Gonzalez prior, and he turned it down. So
see, told you. I told you. And then see a lot of Red Wrong. He challenged Estrada, and he challenged Gonzalez, and Gonzalez they ain't answering back. That's the fight you wouldn't see. Ronrang versus Gonzalez versus Roman Gonzalez. That's the fight I'd like to see. That could happen, and the thing is that could happen easily, but they don't want that fight because they know that bloody Thailand guy, he's a bad man. He go to anyone's hometown and beat them. He's been to Japan, beat Kazuka Ioka. He been to Japan, beat Kazuka Ioka. He been to China in Macau and beat bloody the fist of steel or the fist of God, whatever it is, hand of God, Zhao Shimin. He'll go anywhere. No, it doesn't matter. No, but it's not. Look, if he won, you wouldn't have said that. So what I'm saying is that
I still would say
top rank. No, top rank. I already picked. Listen, I picked a net wrong rank. So it doesn't matter. He wasn't overrated. It's just that he wasn't good enough to be a net wrong rank. A net wrong rank's a bad dude, but no one wants to fight him. He get me with that bloody headlock and the wrestling stuff he does.
If he was that bad, he wouldn't have to resort to such dirty tactics. So
he does that to frustrate you, but it didn't think he can. We know he can box very good.
No,
but, like they don't want.
He does it when he senses danger. He didn't do it against Ioka, but he did it against Williams Arroyo after he got hurt.
Yeah, but he did that in his hometown and got away with it. But he won't do it on the center stage when he's in someone else's backyard. He'll box properly, like he did to Zhao Shiming and like he did to Kazuka Ioka. He knows how to box. Some stuff he gets away with. But the bottom line is this, yeah? The fights you mentioned, I'd love for them to happen, but they're not happening until 2017. Let's move on.
I agree. I agree.
See?
Well, if anything that we learned from this last year, because Mayweather Pacquiao happened, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Nah, not them fights though. None of them. Not the fights you mentioned. The lower weight division, they be doing some ducking. Like they be doing a lot of ducking this year, man. They be doing some ducking. I don't see them lining up. Last year in 2014, they were fighting each other. In 2015, like nah, they got too much to lose. The heavyweight division, they have to fight each other because now the belts have been proliferated, and the middleweight division, they're gonna have to fight eventually as well. So we have to wait and see. Wait and see.
Should be a lot of fun. I want to see our two Polish champions from last year. I want to see Kara. I want to see Kara a few times, and I want to see again. So put those those big bad boys on a card in Chicago in front of all their Polish fans. And I fly to Chicago.
I want to see Thurman versus Porter. It ain't down in goal
That's
yet.
a good one too. Yep.
Yeah, Furman don't. See, there you go. Furman got the belt. After that, he's disappeared. Talking all that big burn paper, burn money. Look at him. Look, where is he? Has anyone seen him? Has anyone seen Furman?
You know, I blame Thurman less than Heyman and PBC, and it's a lot like Oscar and Canelo. Thurman is their big money guy, and they want to protect him. You know, him and Wilder.
No, but Gail, I think he's recovering from the injury. I think he's recovering from the injury, though, to tell the truth, Gail.
That too, but you know, and I do want to say this. You know, as much shit as we've talked about Al Heyman and PBC from time to time on the show, as everyone else has, you know, if we start looking down the list of our awards this year, and I'll tell you what, PBC fights kept popping up on my list. And
I forgot.
There were a lot of good PBC fights, especially the Spike fights on Friday nights.
Yeah,
those were really good cards week after week. The fight lineups were outstanding.
I forgot my ADD kicked in. I'm sorry, Gail. We didn't mention fight of the year. Quickly. Your fight of the year for 2016.
Oh, Mira Vargas. That wasn't even close this year.
For 2015. Everybody, quickly.
Mira Vargas.
What fight? A fighter of the year?
Fight of the year.
Oh, a fight of the year. Okay. Yeah. Man, hey, Akira Gashi claiming his third title in the 3 different weights. I'm only going to mention it because it's not like it's going to get that much attention, but that one there, that was a surprise fight of the year, man. For real. That was a very good fight as well.
Very good choice.
Jorge Linares versus Mitchell.
Kevin Mitchell. My man.
That's my fight of the year.
That's on the short list, for sure.
Salito Martinez.
That was a good one, too.
Hell yeah, that was crazy.
Yep.
And, you know, Hug Slovaki would have been it for me until Mira Vargas came along.
Jacob, your thoughts? Fight of the year?
I got Vargas. Mira was my fight of the year, but followed closely by, my round of the year was the Huck Golaski rounds, was it 6?
Round 6.
I didn't think he was getting up. When he got knocked out, or knocked down, I thought it's over. He looked like he wasn't getting up, and he came back and he threw the kitchen sink at Huck.
And he stopped him in the 11th, too. In the 11th round.
Yeah, he stopped him in the 11th. He hurt him, and he finished him, man.
It was a great fight.
Yeah.
I know the Mira fight is everybody's pick, but I'm with what you need. My man, my home. Kevin Mitchell, Jorge Linares. You want a perfect balance of action and skill by both guys. Offense, defense, body punching, will and skill. Right there. Linares, Kevin Mitchell. My choice for 2015 fight
High
of the year.
drama. We love it.
And I got one more.
Mares and Santa Cruz was a good fight, and I got to go to that fight, and it was a good fight, and it was exciting.
It was it was good. It was exciting, but I don't think it was as dramatic as these other fights. You know, and both guys walked away clean from that one, more or less.
Santa Cruz pretty much showed a lot of what we thought he had.
Yeah.
In that fight.
And you know, I hope he keeps fighting decent opposition. That was a real step up for him. And you know, we had criticized him a lot for the lacking opponents he'd faced, that he was being coddled, and he broke out of that. Good for him. Good year for him.
And I think we're going to shut the show down on that note. I got one more bold prediction. You ready for it?
Go ahead.
I don't know. Are we?
Victor Ortiz and Julio Cesar Chavez
Oh
will win
my
world
God!
titles
Oh
in
my
2016.
God! Oh.
What did you say?
The fight I wanted to see was Chavez Jr. getting flattened by anybody.
That's a great troll.
What I said was, what did I say? I said Victor Ortiz and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. will win world titles in 2016.
Hey,
crazy.
we need to get Daniel's 3 fights that he wants to see. We left him out.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry, Daddy. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
that's true.
Your 3 fights you want to see, your bold prediction?
Yep. Okay. 3 fights that I want to see. I do want. It's either Chocolatito versus Estrada or Inoue. Give me that. I don't mind either one. Kovalev Stevenson, because I want Stevenson to shut up.
Thank you.
I really want him to shut up.
Yep.
And just for the press conferences, Wilder Fury. Just for the press
There you
conferences.
go. That's it, man. That's right, man.
Yeah,
That's right.
And
But we do get press conferences with Angel Garcia and Ruben.
Oh yeah, Guerrero.
Have
that's
they
gonna
started
be-
yet? Have they started each other yet? Have they started? If they start
No, they
beefing yet?
haven't.
Because
They
No.
haven't.
you know what? If that fight should have, that fight should have really been like Showtime or HBO, because then they would have let loose. But on PVC, Al Heyman keeps it respectful, so they keep it under wraps.
But the press conferences are going to be epic shit.
Nah,
Epic.
man.
Nah, I don't know, girl, man. I don't think so, girl. I don't think so,
I'm
girl,
going to get
man.
up there and get right in between them. They're going to be in LA.
Girl's gonna wind them up. Girl's gonna get in there and wind them, put their batteries in their pack.
Questions and let 'em go for it.
Gail, you going to that fight?
EJ, think about it. Look at how much of a vato Ruben Guerrero is.
Yeah.
Victor Garcia.
I think they started clawing at each other already. You know.
I
Yeah.
can see it now.
Ruben started it already. They started on YouTube, but they haven't they haven't they haven't digged into each other yet. That's what people waiting for, right?
You know what?
Yeah.
They need to get in a room together and start sniffing each other, and oh my God. It will start.
Mexico, Puerto
Yeah.
Rico.
That's right. And,
The Mexican.
yeah, it's just going to be epic. I can't wait.
But
I've
luckily,
been waiting for that for a long time.
this ties into actually a prediction I have. The bold prediction. You're going to see an exodus from the PBC. Because if you guys, if people paid attention, like the Top Rank lawsuit is proceeding now. They're going to the discovery stage. Heyman may have to go full-blown UFC, WWE with the PVC earlier than expected. Make it a private entity with their own belts. They won't fight for anybody else. And that may cost a lot of his guys to leave because they may actually want to fight for World War titles.
Yeah. Well, I
Hey,
think that.
nothing's changing. Nothing's changing.
Yeah.
Nah, nothing's changed. They're just trying to push it extra. They're wasting their money. It's a waste of money. They're not going to get anything more than it. The PVC, they have to try and prove that Al Heyman was a promoter, and you can't prove that because they have other promoters. The other promoters there, they're wasting their money and they're wasting their time. And same thing.
Chavez Jr. was stupid enough to put a picture of him getting the check from Heyman Sports. The promoter's supposed to be the one paying you. If that was the case, they should have said Lou DiBella Entertainment. They have a case.
But you sing this, he could do that. I don't know what his graph is, but they can prove that it was photoshopped. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about it, man. Nothing's changing. Al Heyman, the boxing outlet, everyone, even people, they want the PVC to continue. We all want the PVC to continue. You're getting 3 fights, man. This year was the best year of boxing. 2014 was awful. 2015 was look at the amount of fights we had, man. Do you really want to go back to what we was before? So it has to survive, man.
No, I understand it, but let's face it, Al Heyman wants to monopolize the sport.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that because the thing is, it builds competition, and that's what you're getting. No one can they can try and monopolize the sport. You're never going to get that. Don King had a monopoly on the sport, and Bob Arum had it as well. You're never going to get it. There's always going to be another market for other people to thrive. And the thing is, the PVC at the minute.
I was just about to say, you want to ask Vince McMahon what it looks like when an industry doesn't have competition, because that's what he has.
But you can't, he's not gonna. Is Al Heyman gonna buy HBO and Showtime?
Oh no, they're not. No, I don't mean they're not.
There you go, innit? So you see, so that's not gonna. So all he does is bought other TV companies or not pay-per-view companies, and that's what he's done. It's not gonna. It's that unless he's gonna buy them other companies, which is not gonna happen. And there's no other way he can monopolize the sport. It doesn't matter. Nothing really changed. But we're getting the most amount of fights and the best quality fights at that. And hey, the UFC and Al Heyman and all these other guys, they're making us the best quality of boxing. Boxing was in the dungeons in 2014. It was awful. It was awful. He was complaining. 2015 was really good. Right.
That's why it's a bold prediction, though. I mean,
Yeah,
I give Daniel credit. He's making a bold prediction.
I was going to say, I don't think. Look, he's not going to buy HBO out. He can't. But
exactly.
He doesn't need to if the goal is to monopolize the sport. He doesn't need to.
It's true.
Yeah, but you can't monopolize the sport unless you have over them two. They're the biggest companies in boxing. And top of that, the sport.
You're missing my point. You could work with HBO and slowly issue out Bob Arum if he really wanted to.
That's not happening because they don't want to work with him. They don't want to work with Al Heyman. They already said that.
But the new folks at HBO now do want to work with him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen, if that happens, that's good as well. I'm good with it. And the thing is, yeah, as long as we get in the fights we want, we don't give a shit who controls boxing. We get in the fight we want, man. Like, what do we care about?
Yeah,
That's
true.
it.
Right there is true.
But
I don't care who's controlling it.
But the main reason
to
I
his
say
point,
he could
if
become
Heyman wanted to, he could monopolize the sport if he wanted to. I just don't think it would happen.
I don't think he's.
No.
I don't think he's trying to monopolize. He doesn't have that. I don't think he has this. What do you call it? The position to do something like that. It might seem that way, but I don't think so.
Don King, no one was more powerful than Don King. Don King had all the TV companies. He had all the pay-per-view companies. He's got his own company. He had everything on lock. In the 80s, 70s, they're coming out of it. Bob Arum, it was Bob Arum and Don King. The two of them, they controlled boxing. And you could arguably say that was one of the best era of boxing ever. So my point again, if someone's monopolizing the sport, you're going to get all the best fighters fighting each other. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. The problem is now is because everyone's all proliferated that we're not getting the fights we want. Isn't it? So why is the fans, I don't care who. Someone controls the sport, then the fights will happen. Simple.
As long as the fighters are protected at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I ain't worried about that. I ain't worried about the fighters. I ain't worried about that.
What I'm saying is Golden Boy can always work in-house, as they are doing, with Top Rank, with K2, with main events. So no matter what you do, you can't monopolize the sport unless somehow you make league with all these other companies. Otherwise, they're just going to do their own thing anyway. So you have to monopolize boxing is kind of very hard to do.
It's borderline impossible. It's borderline
Right.
impossible unless you make yourself a private entity and you try to become like the UFC, where you say, no, our product has the best fighters, so
Right.
everybody else just has the minor league, which is not the case in this case with the PBC.
And I think Al Heyman's too smart to do that because he's got all these promoters and people working.
We forgot about Rock. We forgot about Rock Nation as well. Yeah. The thing is, if you're up and coming fighter and you're starting, who are you gonna sign with? The one who the promoter's gonna give you the most money and the most exposure. Who is that?
There you go.
Probably right now, Golden Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Golden Boy is
The most. They haven't got a TV. They haven't got. Where do they put their fighters on? They have to wait until HBO. Where they haven't got a. Remember they used to have Fox, you know. Al Heyman took over that. The person who's gonna get you the most exposure is gonna be the PVC, man. Al Heyman. He's gonna give you the most money. So that's the guy you're gonna go with, isn't it?
Or Rock Nation, depending on who you are, because remember
Rock Nation, they put on a show once a year. When's the last time they put on a show? Well, they're not regular. They fight. Come on.
They're new, but Guillermo Rigondeaux signed with them.
Yeah, but Rigondeaux fights bloody once a year as well, so he's all right with that. If you're a new I'm talking about a new fighter. If you're a new up and coming fighter and you want to be seen regularly, you're gonna be signed up with thing, innit? Al Heyman, man, or Top.
But you're going to want to sign up where you've got pay-per-view exposure eventually, because that's where the big money is.
You might sign up either with Golden Boy, either with the PBC, or some affiliate, some promotional company with them, Top Rank. It depends, because you have some guys in Top Rank right now too.
Some fighters don't like to be in a huge group. So in that case, you think about somebody like Main Events or K2.
And the key for PBC in 2016.
And K2 right now has Triple G and Chocolatito.
I still wouldn't put it above. I wouldn't put it above Heyman. The key for Heyman right now in PBC, how will they do on a pay-per-view show minus Floyd?
They've been doing that for the longest though, Michael. They've had pay-per-view shows for long. They've had loads of pay-per-view shows though.
Yeah,
but he hasn't been there yet though. He has not been there yet. That's why when
he hasn't been where? Who hasn't been there? What
we haven't seen an official PBC pay-per-view.
Right.
You won't have that. You will never have that. You will never have that. That's why their fighters go to Showtime. They funnel through Showtime.
Yeah, but they're trying to get. Yeah, but they're trying to get rid of the. They're trying to get rid of that format. That's what they're putting on free TV.
But
they don't. They're trying to.
You're missing my point. If Wilder right now, in my opinion, he has the potential to be the star. If they're going to elevate him to the highest level, he has to fight on pay-per-view eventually.
Yeah, but you need to. But you with the opponents he's fighting, that's not happening. You need a Tyson Fury. Then that's a pay-per-view thing. So they're doing very smart. Until you get a better opponent, then why are you gonna put them in pay-per-views? What's the point? You know, and in the day, like I said, the only one who can bring that sort of money is Tyson Fury and Vladimir Klitschko. Until that happens, they're gonna keep putting them on free TV, and we can keep seeing what we're saying on Showtime, Extreme, whatever. But until that happens, that's it. It's all working towards like trying to get the free TV, and trying to get the best value for us. And I can tell you again, that this year, like I said again, and it's hard to disagree with me, that this year was been one of the best years of boxing.
Oh no,
last year.
No, I agree with you. 2015 was really, really good for the sport, especially compared to what the hell happened in 2014.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. 2013 was good. 2013 was great, man. 2013 was great. You remember? I know it was some time ago, but that was a really good year. But the 2014 was 2015, then 2016 looks really good. It's gonna look good. We're confused about boxing because now Mayweather and Pacquiao. Remember 2014? All we used to talk about is Mayweather and Pacquiao. Now that's gone, thank God. Like that's out of the window. Now we're talking about some real good fights now.
Yep. But unfortunately, the thing about it, at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, remember the Heyman model he's the infomercial model. You are buying time on network TV. That money comes from somewhere, and they're hemorrhaging money right now. Eventually, Waddell and Reed is going to want a profit, and they're going to have to do things like putting Wilder on pay-per-view, actually building a ground game of actually.
Well, the thing about it,
all they do right now is put in venues and then give away free tickets.
If you think about it,
especially when you're dealing with folks that are not necessarily involved in sports per se. If he's dealing with those companies, they're gonna want their money at the end of the day.
Danny Garcia was on a pay-per-view.
They will bump you. They don't give a damn who Al Heyman is at the end of the day.
Listen. Leo Santa Cruz, Danny Garcia were on pay-per-view undercards, right? So they have no problem with Showtime. Al Heyman's been working with Showtime all the time. Showtime is one of the vehicles through which they will, when the best fighters come, their pay-per-views will be on Showtime.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and furthermore, and all the money in that stuff will, like, end of the day, the business, we don't really know the ins and outs. Right now, it's all speculation about who's going to make their profits. The bottom line is, I don't see no one complaining. I don't see no one complaining. If anything, it was very profitable for the investors in the PBC for them to do that, and all the network. They got Bounce TV, Spike TV, and the NBC, and all ESPN. I don't hear Teddy Atlas and the rest of the guys complaining. So all this is speculation about people not getting their money back. I don't hear no one complaining. This is speculation right now.
Because Teddy Atlas got bought out by Heyman. That was the whole point. Before Friday Night Fights got killed in frame of PBC, Atlas complained about Heyman. He complained about him a lot.
Yeah. But is he complaining about him now?
Yeah, he's not complaining because he shut his mouth. Because
what? Because what? He's getting a taste of the money himself now. That's what I'm saying. So all the other speculation about who's not getting paid, they're all getting paid. Everyone's making that money. The investment, all the other money stuff, we don't know the ins and outs until out. Like Gail said, girls, for Al Heyman to come out and tell us what's going on. But I'm telling you, it's all running smoothly. Serious, and we're getting the fights.
The figure that's been out there, I think it's been like in places like the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah,
it's been around hemorrhaging about $100 to $200 million.
But listen to this. Listen to this. Let me put this. Let me put it like this. Yeah, that a lot of people have not got boxing in general, so they're out there trying to conspire and put rumors about it, like Tom Hauser against Mayweather was trying to say he's taking drugs, and this is what they do. They try and plant seeds in people's minds. Yeah, we don't know. It's just speculation. But the thing is, yeah, if there was any trouble, these networks would pull the plug on some of these Al Heyman's cards, and that's not happening.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, it's even getting stronger. They're actually growing. In fact, they're actually growing so strong that they're actually thinking about coming over to the UK. They're expanding on what they had already.
But the
So
goal
if you're losing money, how can you expand?
If you're giving them money, that's the whole point. They're not going to pull the plug if you're giving them money. It's not their money they're spending. It's the people whose money is coming from that's going to be mad. That they're going to say.
But the people giving the money, but you're saying the people giving the money. Why are they going to get mad? They obviously got enough money to give. Or why are they getting mad? They actually like being involved.
Because eventually, business, you have to show profit.
Nah, man. Listen, it's
a promised investment. It's an investment, and then eventually, like Daniel said, if they're not making good on their investment, then they're gonna pull out.
Well, listen. Listen, this. Yeah, that they must have remember
I gotta shut the show down.
They've got it's a contract. Yeah, they have a certain time frame. Yeah, it hasn't been a year, so. Until the PVC's done a year, I guess we come back to that. And if we start seeing that Al Heyman's power is diminishing, then we can say, yeah, it's not working. Until that, it's not even a year, then we can come back to it until that point. Now it's the speculation until we see what happens. That's what I see it.
Worth a discussion on a future show in a few months.
Yeah. Let's end the show on that note. We wasted good show time talking about that. We could have made another show out of that alone. I'm going to go around the table here. Ladies first. Gail, Falcon Foul Communities, Digital News for folks who want to talk boxing or anything else. Let the folks know where to find you.
My regular column is Communities Digital News. It's a native news website out of Washington, D.C. COM, C-O-M-M, Digi, D-I-G-I News, comdiginews.com. The column is also now syndicated, so it's showing up in crazy places like New Jersey and Oklahoma, and you never know where you're going to find me. On Twitter, I'm at PRPro San Diego, and looking forward to chatting up some fights with folks in the next few weekends. And we'll be at the Garcia Guerrero Antics coming up.
Jacob Rivera, big follower of the show, now a regular guest on the show. For folks who want to talk boxing or anything else, let the folks know where to find you.
Yeah, I could be found on Twitter at JRATM23. And I also got my boxing website, jabhookboxing.com. And I want to give a shout out to Daniel's show on Sundays on SoundCloud. He does a good thing there, and I know you guessed it on there before, Michael. And also EJ Boxing Live. He always posts fights, and he had an interview with Turiano Johnson. So for all the new listeners or current listeners, check those out.
Join us live from What You Need. My boy, the right fight. You picked the right fight of the year. For folks who want to talk box or anything else, let the folks know where they can hit you up. And mention the series that you're working on.
Sure. I'm What You Need. I'm found on YouTube at WATTUNEED. I have many different featured things, but first I want to just give a shout out to everybody at this table. Daniel, Gail, EJ, David, and Michael. In a special way, I tried to feature you guys on my channel and where to find you on YouTube to my subscribers as well as the people in my group. So I hope that they go to get the most up-to-date information from each one of you. And on my channel, I feature many different playlists. Now, one of the playlists this is my favorite playlist actually out of all the playlists, is Boxers Not Talked About Today. So when you can, just pass through, take a look at it. You're going to find out a lot of really great boxers out there that just never got featured, and they've done some remarkable things. Of course, Floyd Mayweather TBE is now in round number 8. So I actually did it, Gail.
Nice.
I actually pulled it off before the year was ending. It was exhaustive. I have round 8, 9. It goes up to 12. And it's great stuff for somebody who is interested in just finding out why I may make a claim like that and why he makes a claim like that. And then the other series are Roberto Duran versus Jose Luis Castillo. I actually did it, but I had a much grander plan, but I had to shrink it down into something very short. Now, if you have children there, they shouldn't listen to it. There's a bit of expletives in it. Okay, but other than that, and it's not in a negative way. It's in a way that's kind of positive. I was trying to say how good a boxer is, and I used a lot of expletives for that. But I have it in Setting the Record Straight, part 16, part 1 and 2. So I had to really just rush it because I wanted to finish it before the end of the year. I actually had a big, long one with video and all that, and I just had to scrap everything and do this shorter version. So that's what happened. So you can check out my channel. All I try to do is just, share little insights in the sport of boxing. I'm not an expert. A lot of people come to me and say, "Can you teach me this?" And I'm like, "No, I can't, but I can direct you to people who can." So I try to do that.
Nice.
My UK boxing homie, the big homie, brother EJ Boxing Live. For folks want to talk boxing or anything else, let the folks know where they can find me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for that plug, Jacob, man. EJ Boxing Live. Catch me on Twitter, YouTube. I'm currently doing some commentary. Me and Michael done some commentary over the Christmas, whatever, like on some Japanese fights, and also done some fights on Guillermo Jones. I'm gonna do a preview on his career because I feel like Guillermo Jones started at welterweight to fight at cruiserweight against Darren Levin. I feel like the Russian Federation or whatever they did, they must have cheated on him, planting some drugs in him about that fight. But I'm gonna talk about
another Panamanian fighter, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Panamanian is a big 6'4" guy, but I'm gonna do a profile him. I've done an interview with Michael Garcia. He's gonna be coming back at 140. Hopefully, his dispute with Bob Arum might be finished sometime this year, and he looks forward to be fighting Postal, Crawford, Broner, and he feels like he can beat all of them. I talked to Trino Johnson. He's gonna be fighting a Triple G. He feels like he told me personally to bet some money down on him, and he said he won't disappoint. So I'm putting money down on Trino Johnson. If I'm gonna get the booze, I don't care. Yeah, like hey, listen, it might happen. So that's my interviews on my channel. So EJ Boxing Live on YouTube.
How about that one? You had a great interview with that guy from Super Lightweight. He was a Super Lightweight champion. He was talking about inside the business, the dirty stuff with the...
that's Vivian Harris. That's Vivian Harris. Yeah. Talking about how when he fought his brother, they put a mat and they messed up his legs and stuff. Yeah, so I have all them interviews of that. So you can check me out. Interviews. I'm into everything. Next year, obviously, I'm gonna be going to places, do the same thing as Gail, but obviously, Gail writes articles. I just more or less just do interviews. So yeah, you can check out all that good stuff. Yeah, so I appreciate it.
EJ does some wicked good interviews. People say shit to you, EJ. They wouldn't say to anybody else. I love it. The last couple interviews have been excellent.
And by the way,
thanks, I appreciate it.
I need to correct myself.
Toriano Johnson interview. That one's really good.
Yeah.
My shout out is to Jacob. It wasn't to David. Sorry, Jacob. But I also highlight your website and your articles. So great stuff.
Yeah. Thanks, man. For all the love, man. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Daniel Carpio joined us live from NY. For folks who want to talk boxing or anything else, let them know where you can find you. And mention Inscribable Magazine. You wrote an excellent year-end recap recently.
Thanks, Mike. Like I said, you can find me on Twitter at Raucous99. You can find talking there, mostly talking boxing, talking NBA. And like I mentioned, I do write for the Inscriber magazine, and my latest article I put up yesterday was a review of 2015. What I thought was some things a good year, going to PBC. And like I said, I had to tackle Mayweather Pacquiao one last time, but it was done. And like I said, I have my own show on Sundays with the crews of For Boxing News. We're going to be back this Sunday coming in, because we got two nice little heavyweight scraps coming up next weekend, and they're both for belts.
Yep.
Indeed. And for folks who want to talk boxing or anything else, y'all know what it is. Brother JR on Twitter, at Brother JR at 76. So check me out there where I talk boxing and other things, and in spite of folks who want to get mad when I tweet about other things and folks who want to make little comments, but I'm gonna leave that alone.
Mike, be you, man. You're good, man. You're solid people.
Yep.
Just be you, man. Don't let them get you down.
That's right.
Yeah. Just hating. That's how. That means you're doing something good when they start hating, you know.
Apparently
Right.
so.
Haters gonna
Apparently
hate.
so. For
That's what
folks
I'm
who want
hating
to,
about.
for folks who want to talk pound for pound, want to find information about pound for pound boxing report, again, go to the blog page, p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com. Check out my latest article, blog post about Chocolito Gonzalez. If you look to the right of the page, you can find links to find us all over the social media, all over the internet, interwebs, Facebook, Tumblr, YouTube, G+, Twitter. We got a Pinterest board, RSS feed on Stitcher Radio, Flipboard Magazine, SoundCloud, iTunes, the email address, which is p4pboxingrpt@gmail.com. Also, if you want to find old episodes, we recently switched over to iTunes, but you want to find old episodes, we still got the link up on Podomatic. And if you check also to the right of the page, I got links to find everybody here on the table, where to find EJ's, his channel, his page on Facebook, where to find Gail's stuff, Jacob, Daniel's stuff on Inscriber Magazine, as well as the link to what you need in his YouTube page. So check us out all there. Next week will be mainly a preview show, previewing the two heavyweight fights that was mentioned earlier. Deontay Wilder's returning to the ring to fight Arthur Spilka. Vyacheslav Glasgow fighting Charles Martin for the vacant IPF strap that was stripped from Tyson Fury. So we'll mainly be focusing on those. And let me mention Amanda Serrano. She's going to be fighting on that card too.
That's right.
Yes.
Bout. We're going to talk.
She's fantastic.
Right.
Yeah. Both
So
the Serrano sisters are excellent.
So we're going to do a preview of all three of those bouts. So it's mainly going to be a preview show next week. So for Gail Falkenthal, Communities Digital News, for what you need, Jacob Rivera, the homie EJ Boxing Live, Daniel Carpio, I am Michael. This has been episode 109 of the Pound for Pound Box Report to kick off the 2016. Everybody have a good evening. Good night.
Happy New Year.
Right.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Good night.